With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Tonight, we look to see how drivers fare out at circuits that burn a lot of tire. We start things off in what's expected to be a busy night for the Precision Racing League with its Truck Series. We'll throw back in time to Rockingham as we look to see if everyone can survive the rock here on RaceSpot. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside me is Derek Watson. Hugo Wees is producing, should say. That would be Dane Baird as Hugo Wees. We get set for tonight's festivities here, Derek. The second race of the season after an interesting week at Kentucky to start. Tonight, it's going to be even more challenging, to say the least.
Challenging is a very good word. Bumpy, aggressive, difficult, also all good words here. Welcome to the Rock, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most well-known nicknames across all of pop culture for different reasons. But for NASCAR fans, it means a trip to Rockingham as part of this very eclectic schedule that we have up for grabs here, Justin.
And in turn, with this being the second race of the season, this brings us into just about the middle of the fantasy portion of the season. Keep in mind, the real NASCAR campaigns don't get started until around round 7 of this season. 9 total rounds, mind you, for the Truck Series this season for the PRL, one race shorter than normal campaigns. But keep in mind, a part of that fantasy portion, Willow Springs, Myrtle Beach, Michigan, and Chicagoland are what's the tracks to keep an eye on in the next couple weeks, including that road course at Willow Springs just in about a week's time. But remember, a lot of these drivers coming off an interesting race at Kentucky. Fonseca picking up his first ever oval win in the PRL last week, beating Patrick Cowgill in a drag race. Stephen Kirby, Austin Hunter, Blaine Adams amongst the top 5 to start off the brand new campaign. In turn, we'll see how these drivers fare out tonight, with it being a much different circuit compared to Kentucky.
Yeah, very much different, just how it's going to drive and how aggressive it is. But look at the team points, no surprise here. RBM Shake at 77, Whataback Speedworks 72, and then you got Philmar, Whataback, Team DDI, Battle Bus, RBM. This will all shake up more and more after tonight when there's another race under the books. But you're right, what a difference this track is going to be and how it drives and how aggressive it is and how tight the racing will feel here. I'm excited, Justin, for what's upcoming.
Especially to see which team's stepping up on the short track tonight. A very different circuit compared to what you would see at the 1.5 mile at Kentucky. And as qualifying gets underway, I'd like to remind you at tonight's presenting sponsors for the Precision Racing League and its Trucking Grand National Series. As we get set to go for the drivers tonight, Remind you, tonight's brought to you in part by Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. PRL members also get a 5% discount code on ASR products. Use the restricted 5 coupon code. RaceBox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts. For the casual gamer, often the most meticulous sim racing driver. But we priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceBoxSimRacing.com and get a 5% discount code, version 5 coupon code. The Butt Kicker has products that add immersion and bring incredible immersion and realism in turn to every game. If every new one to enjoy, put yourself in the driver's seat. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby at up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. And by Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. And speaking of drivers, they're currently working around a fairly hot Rockingham. The in-sim day is January the 10th, 2024, around high noon. If it being the winter time, you would think it'd be, 50, 60 degrees. No, this is iRacing. That means it's summertime conditions in the winter time. 90 degrees is the track temperature on a very bumpy racing surface. Keep in mind, in real life, the racing surface repaved in the end of 2022 as part of millions of dollars in funds to racetracks across the state of North Carolina. Not this version. This is the version with 30-plus years old pavement, Derek.
Yeah, very old pavement. As you said, there's a big push in real life right now to get Rockingham back on the NASCAR schedule and get it involved. You know, JP, while most people remember Rockingham not being raced since 2004, the trucks did actually race here back in the early 2010s. So about 14 years ago was the last truck race here at Rockingham. But if you see some of our different camera shots tonight, especially the onboards, we're going to see that bumpy, aggressive, unsettling surface that Justin alluded to. And of course, here we're watching this car go around here as qualifying is underway. These drivers get 2 laps to make the best of what they can do. Here in front of us, we got the 413 truck, Justin, and he's trying to run that outside lane.
And the reason a lot of drivers are trying to see how the lines play out, keep in mind the 413's already finished the qualifying run, 2 total laps, 5 1,000ths off the pole of Zach Panzarella. The top line and bottom line both have their strengths and weaknesses here. The top line, you can get a lot of power off the corner, but there's a high chance to hit the wall. The bottom line, you can round the bottom of the racetrack, gain a lot of ground there, but you aren't as quick on corner exit, and there's the chance you slide up into one of the trucks who are slamming the outside wall about to slam into you.
Yeah, this is a big debate actually during a broadcast that I did Monday night for the RSR here on RaceSpotTV, where we saw drivers running both lanes side by side and having that debate about which was the faster line. So we'll talk about it tonight as the night goes on with the pros and the cons. And you're right, I mean, so Fonseca here's a really interesting story, JP. He's a brand new oval driver. He told me this is only his second quote-unquote normal oval, so non-super speedway, he's ever driven.
The fact he won on the first time out should say a very minimum amount, but a lot at the same time, you could say. In turn, the points leader, outside front row. Off to a good start for this week, Derek.
A great start. Sorry to cut off. I was going to say, it just shows that sometimes some drivers are just great, and no matter what they touch, right? They can get any car and make it happen, and he seems to be one of those people. But the grid is ready, JP. It's almost time for the green flag.
Drivers now making their way to the circuit. 26 entries are about to race in the trucks at the Rock for 40 minutes. On the pole, Zach Panzarella just coming out of official racing less than an hour ago. He was top of the board in final practice for officials. He's top of the board in qualifying in PRL. Fonseca starts alongside the defending race winner from Kentucky, Stephen Kirby, looking to move up from third where he finished last week. Marty Calvert in fourth. Patrick Cowgill nearly picked up his first win in about a year plus. He'll start fifth here tonight. John T. Jones, the Texan, starts in sixth. Then in the seventh spot tonight, Tom MSC, amongst the drivers who picked up penalty points for pit road infractions last week. We'll get to that in a moment. He'll start alongside one of the biggest movers last week in Philip Beaver. Tanner D. Johnson showed some speed in the SOF race on Monday. He'll start 9th in PRL competition alongside Jordan Miller. Then it's Austin Hunter and Andrew Sharp inside the top 12. Back in 13th position tonight, Colton Easterday, just 2/10 off the pole. Mike Toomer Jr. alongside. Dylan Smith starts 15th alongside Blaine Adams. Then it's Edward Peltz, the fan favorite, looking to show its Ed time alongside Nicholas Hunter. Back in 19th position tonight, it's Jake Mackey alongside Evan Williams. Then it's the Flamingo Machine, Zachary Austin alongside Ryan Latshaw. Matthew Avoca starts 23rd, and Antonio Bannister was the last to set a lap time. 2 drivers did not qualify or had trouble in qualifying. Brett Adams and John Mankowski round out the 26 entries here tonight from The Rock. So an action-packed field just about all set to go for tonight's festivities. As mentioned, 2 drivers at minimum picking up penalty points. That is 3 total if you include all the pit road infractions. Brett Adams picked up a few penalty points. A penalty point in half, in fact, after his incident lap 14. Kevin McGarvey also picked up a point for lap 31's front stretch incident. 2 pit road infractions for Brett Adams and Tom MSC. With that being said, we're about to get set for 40 minutes on the clock. In theory, you can get a green flag stop in that race, but in turn, Derek, what are your keys to win at a track known for attrition?
You have to make things happen fast here, JP. A 40-minute clock will not last that long. And since it's a timed race and not a lap race, you really have to get to the front fast and make things happen. So you need to be aggressive on the restarts and be confident in the moves you're making.
In turn, who's your pick?
Oh, I mean, obviously the easy one is Fonseca because of the run last week. That said, though, I'm going to go Fonseca 2 for 2 here.
Can he live up to those expectations here? We're about to find out. Panzarella in control as the green flag waves were underway from The Rock. Trouble, turn 4. Kirby nearly spins it out. We stay green as Kirby saves it on the apron. Oh, wow. Up in front, it's Panzarella who leads the first lap.
What an incredible save, Justin. Able to hold on to that truck and keep that mostly straight and not really bring a wreck to the field. That's a great job. It's frustrating for the driver when you do it, but that takes a lot of talent at a track like The Rock to keep that car moving in the same direction.
In turn,
on the wall.
Trouble, MSC. He gets hit by one off the wall. There's that point made earlier from Jordan Miller. No caution as well as MSC comes out of the grass.
That was Jordan Miller, I think, on the top of the 17 who came down. And yeah, just clobbered him. So as you said, no caution. We're stayed green here. That'll probably be a topic.
Caution.
There it is. There it is. There's the yellow.
Caution flag is out. It's down the backstretch, and after about 3 or 4 different crashes, we finally have a yellow. Nicholas Hunter's the trigger of this one, and you have to go all the way back to turn 1 on lap 3 because Nicholas Hunter nearly got turned 2 or 3 different times before the 3rd and 4th time.
Well, sometimes they say 3rd time's the charm. JP, we'll wait for the race spot replay machine to load up and we'll take a look at it. But what a crazy, chaotic start that was all across the board. And the wall hits, the car hits, the loose cars. It just shows what challenges these drivers face tonight here at The Rock.
Now keep in mind, in terms of the total time of the clock, in theory, you can get about an 80-lap race in if it goes green. That includes with green flag pit stops, mind you. However, keep in mind, it's 40 laps for the fixed series this week in iRacing officials, 80 for the open. Here's the replay, and starting things off with MSC, bye-bye 05.
Yeah, they went through the grass and they actually kept on going. Now I think we're going to see another incident here with the 27 and the 90. I think we're actually going to get a caution from the 90's going to go on. Here's the 27 down the back straight, and where's it going to be? Nothing there. So nothing to see yet other than just that one clobber we saw off the wall. And you know, JP, something I was talking about a couple nights ago is that I feel like in iRacing, and I want your opinion on this, there's two types of walls in oval racing. There's what I call huggers and bouncers. Some walls in iRacing, it feels like you hit it and you just kind of really get sucked in and it pulls all the speed out of your vehicle. And then some walls you hit and you just can become like a pinball, like we saw there with the 17. Apparently Rockingham is a bouncy wall kind of racetrack.
I mean, when you look at it, even from inside the cockpit, it's more like a more wider angle from the angle of the banking when you think about it. Actually, when you look at the walls compared to how straight line it is, a lot of those hugger type of walls, they almost arc in to the banking, right? You could argue.
Yeah, they definitely do. And it's usually, I think, some of the bigger tracks that come to mind for me that are the huggers. I think, like, you know, Auto Club, Michigan, those can come to mind as huggers. But yeah, tracks like the Rock, this is one you're going to bounce off of pretty easily. And it becomes very difficult to not let it bounce you too far out. That's actually the challenge. It sounds really simple, but that does happen. Everyone's already 2x2 here. I don't think the lights are off already, are they? I can't sell the pace car from there. They are. Never mind. We are ready to go again.
This is a quick yellow racetrack. Yes, the Rock counts as that quick yellow circuit. Unless there is a driver a lap down, we have only Nicholas Hunter a lap down so far. Panzarella in control this time. We're back underway. Good launch for the leader. Marty Calvert takes second off the jump. And a clean start, and already a warning for John Jones due to technical issues. He is dropping to the back. The 90 has to back out.
Yeah, you can see that on the restart there as they came to the line. He's just having some connection problems. And when you're a driver who can't see where the driver is in front of you, there's a lot of nerves and anxiety that goes on there. Oh my gosh, is that Fonseca and Tanner Johnson right there that's getting together? That's a 31. That is, yeah, that's Patrick Cowgill. I apologize.
Patrick Cowgill trying to run the inside line. The Winnebago Racing Machine, one of the contenders for the win last week at Kentucky. And you were one of those who spoke with Patrick Cowgill before today's race. Remember, he's one of those with the direct drive wheel.
Yeah, he is one of those with the direct drive wheel, which means there's a lot of more force feedback or different force feedback. And that's what he said. He said he had to turn it down. He said that this track is abrasive, and he used the word atrocious on the arms. So the best way I can describe it to those at home, think about holding on to like a jackhammer or like a drill with a lot of power behind it. It's letting it vibrate in your arms for about 30 minutes. That's what Patrick Cowgill is going through in this race right here.
That's a great point, because that's also one of the discussions from some of the top teams across the platform now is even 50% on a direct drive wheel can be too much, because if you're to where it rips your wheel out of your hands, you can legitimately rip your rotator cuff off.
Well, and not only the damage to you as a person, which is obviously very, very important, the damage to within iRacing per se is a lot of times a lot of drivers don't understand the force feedback and how it's supposed to work, and they'll have it turned up so high that at a certain point the force feedback is driving the car instead of the driver driving the car, because the force feedback will just kind of rip the wheel to the left, the right, or whatever way it wants to, and you're almost fighting the force feedback instead of fighting the car. So that's a difficult battle there. Look at that beautiful pass by that blue machine there, that 3. That was incredible right there.
That's Alka already trying to pick up a few spots in the back, up 5 to 18th position. There's also lots of those you discuss things with, and it's the type of racetrack where you have to pick your spots right, because if you aren't aware of what's around you, you're going backwards. There's the wall as he brings Nicholas Hunter with them, and they crash again. For the second time, Nicholas Hunter's involved, and for the second time, Jordan Miller's involved, as we're back under yellow.
Wow, I don't know what happened. Let's see. It looks like maybe his car just got, or truck, pardon me, got a little loose, and he just slid upwards into the wall. I don't know what happened there, but my goodness, that was sudden and unavoidable for Nicholas Hunter, who sometimes you're the windshield, Justin, and sometimes you're the bug. And tonight, Nicholas Hunter is definitely the bug in this equation.
So the 19 machine very destroyed. Jordan Miller with the meatball flag as a result of the contact. Keep in mind, Miller is, or rather Hunter, is the last driver laps down still in the race. Jones has parked it. But in turn, with the time of the caution flag here, this should get drivers good to go on fuel, potentially, based on the amount of laps. An interesting call. Patrick Cowgill stays out just about the entire field, electing to take tires this time.
Yeah, that is interesting to me to see that he wants to stay out. And of course, the argument for staying out in a timed race, let's watch this replay first and we'll come back to that. So here is the 19. This is going to be down the front straight. The wreck's going to happen out of this corner. So look at this. Hunter has no idea what's going to happen in front of him. And Alaka is going to hit the wall, actually, and bounce off and then try to correct it. So what happened there was Alaka hit the wall. He started to go left, the bounce effect you and I talked about a minute ago, and he tried to correct it back to the right in fear of hitting the inside wall, and instead goes to the outside wall.
And in turn, most of the field behind your top three elect to take the 4 tires with this early caution. There are 3 tire sets available in the pits tonight. And there's a saying when it comes to Rockingham: if you can take tires, take them. Because this is a track that, at one point in 2021, mind you, a few years after the current scan of this circuit on iRacing, the Cars Tour attempted a tire test. For those who may not be familiar with the story, the tires were shredded, and it led to the repave.
Yeah, so I would agree with you. If you can take tires, take tires. However, the argument that Patrick Cowgill would likely make to you right now, JP, about staying out is this is a timed race. We seem to be showing a pattern of having yellow flags that may or may not clean up. Let's watch this again here. This will be a better view. This is going to be right behind Nicholas Hunter. Oh, I don't know who that is, but man, oh, that's a hard hit right there in the wall. But the argument is that if we keep having these yellows, the gas won't be a problem. It'll just solve itself with all the caution laps. And sometimes track position is more important at a track where it's harder to pass at. This Cowgill decision the success rate of it will vary based on how many more cautions we can have in the next 29 minutes.
Lights off on top of the iRacing pace truck. Cowgill, Dylan Smith, and Antonio Bannister are all the drivers who attempted this different call here. Keep in mind, in the case of Bannister, he started 24th. We'll see if this plays out for the track position. His fastest lap in the 24th second bracket. First on 4 tires, Marty Calvert.
And the fact that there's others here, Schmidt and Bannister with Cowgill, so Cowgill's not the only one doing it, sort of helps his case a little bit. It'll provide a teeny bit of separation for him, as you see now the onboard here with Cowgill's. We're about to go green. That's a beautiful wide, that might have been a single monitor, I couldn't tell, but that was a beautiful setup there he had there. But yeah, this will be interesting to see how this goes. This will be testing and experimenting for later.
Just about set to get back underway. Patrick Cowgill at the AccuForce wheel, looking to try and get that wheel to full motion up at the point. Green flag is out. Back underway, no tire spin. The battle is on for 3rd spot already. Marty Calvert, better launch on the high side of the crashing in at 1. Panzarella ran to the back of Bannister. The rest of the field goes on in, and we're under yellow as 3 spin on the apron.
Oh, wow, wow. Again, we're under yellow. And again, Patrick Cowgill probably has a grin, thinking this is paying off.
And take a guess where the trigger was. Inside line, battle for 3rd.
Yeah, Panzarella is not happy right now that Bannister decided to stay out. I think Panzarella believes that Bannister was the cause of that. We'll have to wait and see what the video evidence shows in the courtroom, if you will, with Bannister. But well, that's a barrister. That's not a Bannister. kind of word mixed up there. Sorry about that. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. And of course, Panzerella's come around. This is just to take the spot iRacing is giving him. He's not targeting anyone. He's just trying to get back in line where he's wanted right now.
A lot of drivers still trying to catch up and let the tape speak.
So watch the bottom of your screen here. Oh, I don't know if Bannister just broke a little, lifted early for the corner. And that's not wheel spin, Justin. We're way too far in for that to be wheel spin. I honestly think that you kind of pointed out, with all due respect, Bannister's slower lap times earlier. I think Bannister is just a little maybe off the pace of where Panzarella is, and there was a disagreement about braking markers. I don't think tires had anything to do with that.
In turn, though, we're already nearly halfway to the race. We've turned a grand total of 20 laps, about half of them under caution. Calgill and Smith were able to keep the track position there, but Marty Calvert has a good chance to be able to take the lead early here. Here's Panzarella's view. Team DDI machine. I'm not sure what else you could do. You're talking about driver nearly stopping in a lap.
Oh, yeah. No, I said it's just a disagreement over braking markers. And, you know, I don't think Panzarella did anything wrong. I mean, I don't think he expected that car to stop there, per se. But, yeah, that's what happened. That's the cause. And, unfortunately, you know, it wrecked a couple more machines behind them. That's the really unfortunate news, are the innocent bystanders who just had nowhere to go. But let's watch this again here. This is going to be from our... Oh, this is Patrick Calgill live, sorry. This is sitting here with the pace truck.
And still in control of the lead. And for those wondering, how do you know the exact wheel that is that he's driving? Funny story. He was the one who bought my original direct drive wheel when I sold it a couple years ago.
Well, there you go. That's how you would know what wheel it is. That's a beautiful wheel right there. Nice big rim. Of course, a lot of times, you know, when I think for some reason, the thought in the community, JP, when we talk about direct drive wheels, is everyone sort of thinks about road racing, but it does exist in the oval side as well. You know, luckily over time, for sim racers, direct drive is becoming slightly more affordable. You know, there's different options for it now. It's, you know, there's multiple companies. There's Moza, there's Fanatec. I believe Logitech's now in the business of direct drive. And there's others out there who are making it as well. So it's becoming a little bit more accessible, a little bit more affordable. It's nowadays the challenge for direct drive, Justin, is not the wheel itself. It's having the something to clamp it to.
Meanwhile, speaking of road course experience, several GT3 victories in the career of the 413. And once again, he has the heart monitor set up. Once again, he's already forgotten how to turn right, but at the very least, he's turning left good.
Well, I want to see that heart rate monitor a little bit later when we're in the middle of a green flag run, when he's, you know, side by side. I want to see how that goes. It's a pretty chill heart rate right there, but it's, you know, under caution. Bad things can happen, but not as commonly under yellow here. Well, for what another run we're going to see here, Patrick Calgill is going to lead him around to green here, Justin. And he's been masterful, or at least he was last time, at getting that jump on that restart.
The inside line's been solid when drivers haven't spun the tires this week. Calgill gets the green, doesn't spin them, and this time it's Smith who does. Offset 3 wide for a moment. Here comes Calvert to second.
Tanner Johnson almost ran over Dylan Schmidt on the outside. That's at 53. He wanted to go fast and had to sort of check it up and wait for Schmidt to get around there. That's twice now Schmidt has really been kind of slow on that starting reflex. But starting P2 on the outside, Justin, in my mind, is like the hardest skill in iRacing, as someone almost went through the grass.
That was Philip Beaver, one of the fastest drivers from Kentucky last week. It's not been a pretty race for him so far. He's back to 14th after starting top 10 with these bubbles. More trouble behind him. And a crash for Zachary Austin. He collects Panzarella down on the apron. No caution yet. We stay green.
We will likely stay green here because really, I don't know. That's a wreck that I would think. But the way the racing surface works in iRacing, oh, there's another wreck up front. That's another car turned around. Who is that?
Evan Williams spun around with the help of Josh Mankowski. Again, no caution. We somehow stay green as half the field spins it around at the rock.
This is quite the race so far of incidents and spins and loops and things, and we're seeing here. Just shows how slippery and abrasive this track is, and how realistically the hard part of this track, JP, is that we don't race it anymore. And it comes up, what, once a year, twice a year, and officials now. There's a lot of drivers who are probably getting their very first look at this track.
It's kind of shocking the amount of people I've actually heard on the voice chats in these races and see open and fixed who say, I've never heard of the Rock before. What is this place? When for about 50, 60 years, as you look at the battle for the race lead, battles like this one were regular. Remember, the last race in the history of the circuit for the Cup Series was a drag race between Matt Kenseth against Casey Kane in battles like this one.
Yeah, in fact, that drag race was like one of the closest finishes in NASCAR history back in 2004. I mean, this track was open, I think, in 65. It was originally a flat 1 mile track. It got converted to this banked version, I think, in 1969 or 1970. But you're right, raced for many years, once or twice a year. And now it's basically unheard of, unfortunately. But this week in racing has shown, at least in iRacing, it has its place. And maybe soon in real life, we'll see it back on the schedule somewhere.
Meanwhile, to the inside, Calvert looks to place himself for the race lead. Cowgill, despite the older rubber, still holding firm on the outside. Good defensive movement from the 31 so far. All while third on back's busy finding themselves. That includes now Smith losing ground. Near contact for the race lead is to the inside. Once again, Calvert has to back out of it in the Fillmore truck.
Yeah, Calvert had to back out there a little bit. That'll give Cowgill the advantage there. But Cowgill's also running the outside lane. So let's get back to that talk you had towards the opening of the show here. By running that outside lane, the belief is that what will happen is he'll burn up a little bit more tire than the inside lane, but he's always going to have a better run off of the corner. Of course, as I said that, he went low here and is going low again to try to block the 16. So he's trying to kind of kill any momentum that Calvert can get here.
Still, Calvert trying to figure out a way to try and get around before things fully equalize here. Cowgill strong around corner exits, trying to block the lanes. Tanner D. Johnson slowly reeled them in as well throughout some of these corner apexes. So keep an eye on the 53 if these two get side by side again. By the way, we're just past halfway.
Now, the advantage that Cowgill is getting here is the longer this run right here stays green, the more likely everyone is to pit next time if another caution comes out. And so Cowgill can come down with them and have equal tires. But praises and kudos to Patrick Cowgill on a track that's already proven to be loose and slippery, that he is on older tires than the rest of the field and driving it competitively with these drivers.
Side by side again for the lead. Inside, Calvert. Cowgill back outside. Is this the move for Calvert to clear? Yes, it is. Cowgill forced the lift out on the squeeze. To the point, Marty Calvert.
Sorry to cut you off, but look at that wheel movement. Watch it get in this corner right here. Look at how hard he is fighting that wheel. Caution's out. Look at him, he's going to let up here. But it's like he's like arm wrestling a bear, Justin. Like that looked very difficult from that camera shot. You ever arm wrestled a bear?
Yes. No, I haven't arm wrestled a bear. But you know who's going to arm wrestle some damage again? Would you believe it? The 19 of Nicholas Hunter's found another one.
Oh, that's at least what, 3 times tonight, if not 4. If you're Nicholas Hunter, you might as well go play the lottery. You've hit everything else tonight, or been hit by everything else. You might as well make the best of that luck here. But as I said, what's going to happen here? I'm confident everyone's going to come down here on pit road and take new tires. So Patrick Cowgill put himself in a spot of great track position, and now will pit with the field. Take that tires, except someone stayed out. Was that Fonseca?
Yeah. That's a bold strategy. We'll see if that plays out on the longest run of the race. Everybody else pits.
Well, he's now in what I call the Cowgill seat of just kind of praying this thing doesn't really go green in the last, well, it'll be probably, 15 minutes when we go green. So only 2 or 3 more cautions are available to this field, I would think, based upon the time they take. Even on a quickie yellow, it's going to take a few minutes here to get everyone on pit road, off pit road, lined up again, so on and so forth. But here's the battle, and wow, he easily, Calvert did. Got off pit road first. He'll line up next to Fonseca here when we go green with about, I'd say, what, 15 and a half minutes, you think?
Give or take. Calcio did win the race for second off the lane against Tanner T. Johnson. And as expected, everybody took 4 tires in that sequence. So in turn, Fonseca, the only driver to stay out here. At this point, we've seen that you can defend for maybe 10, 15 laps at most on the difference. Keep in mind, the estimate, if it goes green, is about 30 or 40 laps. That is a lot of defensive time. Even if you, unless you get a caution in about 20 laps again, Derek.
Well, and I think the challenge for Fonseca here, Justin, is like right now, he's kind of, as the analogy says, he's made the bed, he's got to lay in it. Even if another caution comes out, if he pits again later off cycle, I don't see how he has time to come back through the field and be competitive or successful. So it feels like at this moment, you know, unless we get a caution in about 10 minutes or so and everyone comes down together, I think he's stuck. I do. I believe he's stuck in this moment here at the Rock, and to see what happened. I want to come back to that topic you said, though, about people not knowing or never heard of the Rock. This track is famous, not just on a racing level, but, you know, if you're a NASCAR fan, cinema-wise, I mean, Days of Thunder filmed here, Talladega Nights filmed here, portions of the ESPN 30 for 30, the Dale Earnhardt story filmed here, the UPS truck commercials have filmed here. Like, this track has been classic, not just, oh, hold on, oh, there it is again. Oh, hard.
That was Tom Embassy, who ended up going around. That was off Hunter. Also involved was Bannister. You know what's also been seen here tonight? The everybody finding a way to hit Nicholas Hunter Club.
Yeah, we're like the only people not to be in that club, I think, right?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he's our spotter for the Grand National race as well.
He might be, yeah. So see if we can get a word later or get thoughts later from Nicholas Hunter. But you're right. Pretty much everyone's hitting him at this point. So, well, here we go. A little less than 15 minutes. My estimate was a little wrong. But once again, new leader here as we go green, Justin.
All tires up front. Nope, Fonseca trying to hold on very old tires. 20-plus laps. Lots of tire spin. Here comes Calvert with the better restart on the high side. Calgill looks from behind. Calvert makes it easy for the lead.
The tire spin is hard to see from a visual standpoint in iRacing, but the way you can tell is how well Calvert did it, keeping equal. Oh my gosh, they're 3 wide.
3 wide for second. Fonseca trying to back up a little bit. Calgill passes them both. And Patrick Calgill back up to second as the battle continues on everybody trying to pass the old tires.
I was going to say, the way you can tell the tire spin happened is how well Calvert kept up with Fonseca there on the restart. And now everybody's keeping out Fonseca. Unlike Patrick Calgill, who had a successful run at kind of defending and blocking, it seems like for whatever reason, Fonseca is not having the same luck. He's now back to already P6, P7 range here with these 2 trucks right behind him. Yeah.
Sitting duck right now with the oldest tires in the field. Nothing the Ford 13 can do except hope for another caution. As Colton Easterday makes an air pass there. There's a look, and the heart rate is a little bit up. In fact, it's going even higher the more spots he loses.
Yeah, the closer he gets to that wall, probably. And every time he goes 3 wide, I bet it jumps. Mine would jump if I was at the Rock 3 wide. That would be the low-end number for me right there on my heart rate meter. But he seems maybe to have leveled it off here. Now he's got it back under control, racing side by side. See the focus there. What I noticed, though, look at this, the wheel movement, JP, so much less than what we saw out of Calgill right before the yellow came out. Look how smooth that input is through the corner compared to what Calgill was doing.
trying to keep it as smooth as possible till things settle on down. Of note, Phil Beaver just had an error spin from 14th. No caution yet again. We're still green, despite several drivers having to come out of the grass. So with about 12 minutes to go, the 60 on the apron. Not a good day for one Philmar truck. A great day for another. The no caution incident involving Evan Williams, it appears as well. He's in the RBM bake truck.
Yeah, it's a very bright truck there and a very difficult night. That's not the first time we've seen Evan Williams having some frustration and some trouble. But Marty Calvert, pardon me, not Matthew, Marty Calvert having a great run here, already up to almost a 3/4 of a second lead. Now, JP, this track tonight is challenging and interesting, but the next few weeks in this schedule are so challenging that they're so different in many ways. We're going to leave here. We're going to go to Willow Springs, which is a very, tight and at times narrow road course. Then we have Myrtle Beach after that. These three very different tracks here. Whoever comes out of week 4 or 5 with the points lead will have earned it.
And Inter Calvert is in great position to be able to be in that position. Same for Calgill in the early going of the season. They're 1 and 2 after all, after both running well at Kentucky. Back inside the cockpit of the 31. You can just see the head motions even following the banking at this point with how much momentum you have to carry around in this truck.
You hear him off the throttle to about, moving more than halfway through the corner. But again, I want to stress how much wheel movement is in that setup right there compared to what we saw from Fonseca a moment ago. But so much fighting here. I wonder if that really is, honestly, JP. I don't want to criticize or tell someone how to run the rig, but is that a case we talked about earlier with too much force feedback? Is that force feedback almost driving that wheel compared to what we saw at Fonseca?
That's a good point, because I'm honestly in the concept of the micro slide, right? Where you bobble it around so many times, you're essentially making mini slides with the tires when you're bobbing it around so much that it's like an earthquake.
Yeah, so that does not look like a very fun night for Patrick Calgill. Remember, he said atrocious on the arms, what he said here. Well, now I see why. He can skip arm day at the gym tomorrow. He's got that part covered.
You know who's somehow in a battle for 12th in the midst of all this? Nicholas Hunter. He has been involved in every caution and is somehow still one of the faster trucks on the circuit. 25 flat last time by, not as quick as the leaders, yes, but he has a chance to maybe claw a top 10 out after making the pass with the old tires, the 413.
Look at that. The heart rate's now up here to 112. Fonseca, he's losing the spots, getting a little anxious. Now knows we're under 10 minutes. And all those factors are starting to come in here. Look at that big grin, having a great time. For someone who doesn't drive a lot of ovals, if I were to make you a list, JP, of ovals I think someone should try for the first time as a new oval driver, this would be towards the bottom. But he looks like he's having a good time.
That almost screams of a smile, though, of, I know I messed up by staying out there. He just nearly got ran over by Panzarella. Still, the drop-off continues for the 413 machine. 17 cars and trucks are on the lead lap. Edward Peltz is currently the last on the lead lap. Keep in mind, they're about half a track back of the race leaders. There's a chance, the way things are shaping out, that there's a fair amount of lap traffic for the leaders here. In the final 10 laps, we have an estimated 22 laps if we stay green.
Yeah, there's that chance as well. And there's also the chance that I should point out to you that we're nearing that moment on the clock where if something happens and another yellow flag comes out, we may not go green, or if we do, it's going to be a very, very quick ending to this race here. So right now, unfortunately for Fonseca, that play did not work out, by the way. When he gets past here, if he does get past here by Peltz, this will put him as the last car on the lead lap. Those can be lapped cars behind him. So unfortunately for Fonseca, this is a learning moment. When you're new to ovals, sometimes you have to do things to see how they work out. That car's starting to wiggle a little bit, by the way, JP. He's now starting to have a harder time I saw some wiggles out of the car, but smoke ahead of us here.
No
Nothing to see,
caution, though. Not sure who the smoke came from. Believe it may have been Mankowski. He was running in 9th and is now on the tow truck with a meatball flag.
Yeah, Mankowski had a rough time during qualifying as well, and I believe during qualifying actually had something happen where he ended up off track and into a wall, so tough night there. And here comes a possible pass here. Nope. The 109 is trying to find a way, trying to be aggressive, trying to see if he can sneak his way, just get a piece of that truck under the corner panel and claim his territory.
That's Stephen Kirby. Remember, picked up the pole at Kentucky before getting the bobble back. Here's the reason the 93's off circuit.
Oh,
Hard hit for Wadaback Machine.
well, I'll tell you what, and if you're Fonseca, Edward Peltz, or someone towards the back, you're basically screaming, why is that not a caution? Because you would love the chance to put new tires on and gain a few spots here. But if you are Marty Calvert or even Patrick Cowgill, you're probably okay that we're still green.
No space to go for Kirby as they are reaching Antonio Bannister in the midst of some of the lap traffic already. Bannister, remember, stayed out earlier, was involved in some incidents, and nearly pushed up without that front fender and the downforce into the side door of the 109.
Almost had another caution right there with involving Bannister after that moment here. The drivers had to climb the stairs and get to the top of the track and get out of the way of him here. But now a great battle again here. So right now what is happening, JP, is Stephen Kirby's kind of analyzing the lines. He's watching, he's studying. He knows he probably has one, maybe two shots at this to make it happen. And here comes one right here.
Side by side again. Kirby trying to use the short distance around. Cowgill using the push and squeeze line. And that's why so many have to be able to use the top here. It's a perfect defensive maneuver. If you can nail running up top, it's near impossible to pass from the bottom.
It is, because what happens is from the top lane, you're able to be on the throttle a little bit more. You carry more speed out of the corner, so you have, you just have more acceleration, and you're able to kind of make up time right there. So what Kirby needs to do is kind of get up under his quarter panel, make you have some pressure, and really just make things happen. Don't give him all that track. Slide up a little bit, squeeze him, and make it competitive, which he just did here. And now I think Kirby will complete the pass, or at least be side by side heading into 3.
Near contact again. Kirby's getting a little bit tighter the longer this run goes here. And Cowgill still holding on with under 5 minutes to go. About 11 or 12 laps to get the job done here. So the civil engineer and CAD technician looking to see if he can draw a plan to hold on to the spot for another 4 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Stephen Kirby could see the broadcast right now and he could see that wheel movement out of Patrick Cowgill, he might be content just to ride behind him and change that aerodynamics of the back of the truck and see if he could just kind of wiggle that truck loose. That's what I would do if I knew what I knew from up in the booth. Now, of course, he probably doesn't, so he's going to try to make the pass here. But I think the right play might actually be to stay behind Cowgill, get up behind that truck, let the aerodynamics come into play, and to see if you can just kind of make Cowgill make a mistake with just under 4 minutes here.
And that's saying if there's no troubles here, especially since it's the longest run of the race. The way things are shaping up here. Another peak for second. And nearly contact his RBM shake. Nearly shakes the back end of Cowgill's truck with that send.
Look at this onboard here. This is a great shot. Let's watch this for a lap or a half a lap here. You and I have discussed all night how bumpy and abrasive this track is. Watch this right here. Just up and down and up and down and up and down, and moving all around. That's just the bumpiness you can tell from that camera. There's a lot of abrasiveness here. As you said, an old track, probably a 30, 35-year-old surface in sim right now. Look how close Kirby's getting. Stay behind that bumper, Kirby. Stay back there and let the aerodynamics do its job.
Indeed, especially with little tiny peaks. Just not enough to be able to force the side-by-side by the backstretch. Under 3 minutes to go on the clock here. Kirby better in 1 and 2. Calgill a little stronger in 3 and 4 in the closing stages, amongst his top 3.
This is
Something's
by far
gotta
the
give here.
closest. Yeah, so it's by far the closest battle we have on track. But you're right, something's going to give here in a minute. One of them's going to make a mistake for trying to push the other around. Either Kirby's going to dig it in deep and lose that momentum he has. Calgill is going to try to block something, and maybe it's not going to work. But I'll be surprised if they can hold on to this format for another 2 minutes and 10 seconds here. Probably another, I don't know, 6 times around, I would think. You're better at the math of this than I am, but man, it's getting close.
Getting very dicey here. About 5 estimated laps to go. Less than 2 minutes on the clock. Right now, these drivers 2 seconds back of the leader, Marty Calvert. Couple laps away from the potential point of no return, if not already. Calgill trying to hold on to the bottom now. Kirby gives him the bumper. Kirby backs out of it, has to go on the apron as Calgill gets the better launch.
Yeah, the better launch indeed. And that might be that moment we talked about where where we both said something's going to give, and that might have been it right there. Because now it's going to take everything for Kirby to keep going. By the way, there's your leader right there, Marty Calvert. Now the challenge he's facing, that's Zachary Austin right there in that bright Flamingo Miami style paint scheme. His challenge is hoping that this lap traffic plays nice and nothing weird happens. But he has checked out over 2 seconds from the race you're seeing in the bigger window.
Only a few more laps to work with here. Maybe about 3 at most is the estimate. Possibly 2. So there goes Calvert to be able to lap by the 4:13, 14 on the lead lap in the final stages. Calgill still holding on to second here. About 40 seconds on the clock. About 2 laps to do something if you're Kirby.
This is probably your last opportunity right here. I would think they're going to come around here to the start-finish line. They might get 2 more times around to make this happen. It's almost to the point now where Kirby's going to have to push it more than ever, or have to hope this lapped car right here is Zachary Austin and the cars in front of him get in the way, or Kirby's stuck here in P3.
It's back to the white flag, this time by only a few seconds left on the clock for Marty Calvert, looking for his 2nd ever win on Wednesday nights in the PRL.
That would have been
Calvert.
The white flag right there.
Yes, indeed. For Marty Calvert. Long run speed, a big part of tonight. Getting track position, an even bigger part. But for Marty Calvert, he puts all the Vilmar parts together to be able to come out of turn 4 to get his 2nd ever PRL victory on Wednesday nights. Patrick Calgill 2nd. Stephen Kirby does fall back to 3rd in the end. Tanner Johnson and Austin Hunter, your top 5 as Calvert gets his 1st win of the year. And well done for Marty Calvert as the speed comes in throughout the run. About 2 seconds of fall off. He was the fastest out of the leaders in the midst of this long run period.
I'll tell you what, JP, once he got around Fonseca on that last restart, who had this tire spinning the old tires, he just never looked back. He dominated the field, had a great run, and he deserves this burnout moment right here at Rockingham.
So Marty Calvert celebrates his 2nd win in this series in the PRL in this time slot period. Calvert burns it on down and is in the conversation already for the early championship picture. He goes straight to victory lane. Let's go straight towards the race results in a few moments here, because tonight 14 drivers ended up on the lead lap. Unofficially, the standings look like this. Calvert and Calgill, Kirby and Johnson, followed by Austin Hunter. Blaine Adams finishing 6th. Dylan Smith finished 7th. He was amongst those who tried old tires early on and survived that strategy. Ryan Latshaw in 8th. Colton Easterday in 9th. Mike Toomer Jr. rounding out the top 10. Tom Embassy was involved in one of the caution flags, in fact, caused the last caution. He still finished 11th in front of Zach Panzarella, who was involved in a couple. Nicholas Hunter was involved in 3 different yellow flags. He still finished 13th. He ended up holding off Edward Peltz in a drag race at the line for the last of the lead lap. Gilligan Fonseca finished off in 15th. Jake Mackey in 16th. Bannister, Beaver, Zachary Austin, and Evan Williams, the top 20. Then the rest of the drivers had a lot of bad luck. Brad Adams had a technical issue and lost at least a double-digit amount of laps. John Mankowski finished with the DNF. Andrew Sharp, Matthew Albaca, Jordan Miller, and John Jones amongst the DNFs as well here tonight. Marty Calvert setting the fastest lap and in turn. Marty Calvert's pace on the long run was the bigger story here tonight to help get the 16 to victory lane. Let's take the time and opportunity to speak with Marty Calvert. Marty, welcome to PRL Victory Lane for the second time in your career in this series. How are you feeling about the run tonight?
Oh man, it feels great. Awesome.
Talk us through the different layers of strategy you had to sort for one, but two, to be able to get on in the right position in your truck to be able to capitalize all night.
Yeah, so last week we didn't do so good on strategy. I stayed out when I shouldn't have, and that kind of hurt me. So I learned a little bit from that. Did a lot of practice here, figured out how the tires were going to wear, and yeah, just tried to put the truck in the right place at the right time. And we were able to capitalize on that last restart and get a nice little gap. And from there, it was just take it easy, don't burn it up, and hit all the marks.
But in turn, this puts you into the early championship conversation here with this victory. That gets you a decent amount of points. You still have drivers like Calgary and Kirby, yes, who look strong in Kentucky as well up front. But how are you feeling knowing you're in that early top right now for Fillmore?
It's awesome. I mean, second season in PRL, I mean, it's all you can ask for is to get a couple wins and have that to look forward to at the later end of the year. So I'm excited.
Thank you very much for the time, Marty. Congratulations on the victory.
Yeah, thank you. And quick shout out to my Uncle David who lives in Rockingham. This is his home track. This one was for you, buddy.
Marty Calvert gets it done and gets himself a solid run here tonight. Second place tonight with the way of one Patrick Cowgill. And he tried different strategy at some portions of the evening. Patrick, in turn, talk us through the decision to stay out on older tires after the early runs in the race and trying to battle to hold on to the track position in that early going in turn.
During practice, I ran a couple of decently long runs. I wouldn't say they were super long, but it seemed like the first 15 laps or so, there wasn't a whole lot of fall off. So I figured I'd just give it a shot during the race, see what happened. I don't know that it hurt me, and I don't know that it helped me at all. Marty was definitely faster than me, and I was overdriving the entries a little bit, so he definitely earned that win.
In turn, how difficult was it on the arms? You have the direct drive, mind you, in front. First of all, how's the direct drive going after it's been a couple years since the last time I've seen it in person? But two, how was it on the arms tonight?
My right arm was hurting a lot. I guess I still had it too high. I was trying everything I could to turn this thing, and it's just, yeah. But I love this wheel.
Well, on that note, though, with this run tonight, looking like you may be the points leader unofficially. How does that make you feel as the potential points leader?
Probably not too great, because usually when I'm doing good, that means a bad luck race is coming.
Well, Willow Springs is up next. Is that a bad luck race for you, you think? A road course?
Based off of all the road courses we've done in the trucks since they split the series, I think I might have a chance at winning. If not, I'd probably be in the top 3 or so.
On that note, though, thank you very much for the time, Patrick. Congratulations on the run.
Yep, thank you guys.
Patrick Calgill coming away second tonight in this one. Third spot tonight with the way of Stephen Kirby. He's with Derek.
Steven, great run tonight in that 109 machine, making it happen for you. What a crazy race to start here. What was your perspective of the first couple cautions?
Yeah, it was just really hot and slick, I think, compared to what I had been on all week. And I mean, even I messed up and spun, or almost spun coming off 2 there and lost a lot of positions. So pretty slick. And then I think the guys kind of figured it out and we got going there.
What is your experience specifically with Rockingham? Have you raced it a lot? Is it a fairly new track to you? Like, obviously it's not raced a whole lot in iRacing anymore. So what's your experience level with it?
Yeah, I think the only race I've ever ran here was in a Gen 4 Cup car, maybe in an official, but other than that, this was my second race here. So great racetrack, a little rough, but it's definitely pretty fun.
Yeah, not a bad run for only your second race. Wanted to ask you, like the last thing I want to ask you, so we saw different points tonight. We saw Fonseca and Calgill both stay out under cautions and try to claim the track position. One was more successful than the other at it. Did that thought ever cross your mind as a strategy?
No, not really. I was actually surprised when Calgill stayed out that he was able to stay up front as long as he did. And then when Fonseca stayed out, I kind of knew he was in trouble because I think he was the only one, so the front row wasn't held up by old tires like it was when Calgill stayed out. So, nope, never crossed my mind at all. Tires is key here for sure.
Fair enough. Well, Steven, great job tonight, and we'll see you next week at Willow Springs.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to thank RaceSpot for the broadcast, RBM, and all my teammates. So, appreciate it. You guys have a great night.
You as well. There is Stephen Kirby, finished third tonight, Justin, here at Rockingham.
Well done for Kirby tonight. He's also in the championship conversation, nearly going end turn. Willow Springs, remember, is next week. We go back in time yet again. How about to a circuit with racing history in California since the 1950s? Be sure to see how things fare out for the trucks next week on January the 17th here on RaceSpot. But in turn, it's time to go from one piece of history tonight at least to another one, Derek. Because you know what's next on the docket? It is the Brickyard. Welcome to the second portion of the Precision Racing League, and it's Wednesday night action. It's the Grand National Series coming from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We look to see how the Grand National cars fare out for 55 minutes around the 2.5-mile rectangular oval.
And depending upon your perspective, good news or bad news, as you said, it's the oval. For now, we seem to be done with the road course experiment at Indianapolis, and we're back to doing the oval. Now, JP, I have to ask you the age-old question. Are there 4 or 8 corners at Indianapolis?
Who in the world says there's 8?
That's the new thing. There's 5 turns at Pocono. There's 8 turns at Indianapolis.
It's 4. Simple as that. There is 4 corners at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For those wondering, yes, this is the second race of the season as well, where we came from a racetrack with 4 corners as well. We look to see if everyone's able to survive all 4 corners here this week. Once again, Justin Prince, Derek Watson, and Dane Barrett showing there are 4 corners here. I'd like to know your source on who says it's 8.
Well, during the race, I'll show you. They go 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. I don't know how you don't see there's 8 corners at Indianapolis. I don't understand. But speaking of 8, there's actually 9 tracks on the schedule. Sorry to cut you off there. And this is a much, in my opinion, a more favorable schedule, Justin. I like this schedule as a driver more than I like the truck schedule.
It should be an interesting stretch all the way before Daytona. Keep in mind you have Atlanta Legacy. You have Indianapolis Legacy technically tonight. You have Nashville Superspeedway, Chicagoland. And the Rocks portion of the schedule is in week 6. And a lot of drivers already putting some work in, like Thomas Sink for that racetrack in the trucks before tonight's Grand National action. Richard Regan Jr., though, he put in the work last time out to pick up the win over Bradley Hawley. He picked up the run and ran away in the later stages. Dustin Scruggs, Andrew Phipps, and Danny Cervantes finished in the top 5 in that one. Reese Bogue, Jim Westerfield, James Morgan, Matt Gagnon, and Colton Lane also showing speed. But in turn, we'll see how a lot of the drivers handle themselves in the organization standpoint of things here tonight, because a lot of those RBM machines looking solid. They're 1 and 2 as a group. And you also throw a development driver in the top 5 of the overall points.
Yeah, a great run for Regenboog, as a team here, doing very well. What a back trying to run him down. And then you got 6 Box, Another Whataback team, 24/7 down there. So a very tight team battle this year, possibly in the Grand National Series. We'll have to wait and see how it turns out here. Now, this will be a very challenging racetrack, Justin. We can talk about why later. This looks simple, but you get in a pack of cars here. I'm curious to see how these Grand National machines, I'm going to break that habit in a second, how these Grand National machines are going to behave here.
We'll see. And just heard over the radio, a lot of drivers just got informed from pit road violations last week. 5 different drivers have been just informed they are not allowed to qualify. Ted Lowendick, Terry Radford, Paul Williams II, Joey Tebbin, Andrew Phipps are all not allowed to qualify. Now, the reason for Lowendick and Radford was incidents, but the reasons for Williams II, Tebbin, and Phipps, they had 2 or 3 pit violations in one race at Michigan.
Yeah, the one for Radford will carry over for next week as he's not here tonight, but that'll carry over to next week for him. But you're right, that's a lot of not qualifying at a track where it's big and it's long. I think you'd want to be here for all that. So that's a big hit on the penalties here at Indianapolis.
Take a look at some of the drivers that were on the racetrack, and I think it's relevant to say there was some really exciting news in the past 48 hours involving the Speedway and part of the name in the Speedway. Guess what's
there's
back?
some news? I hadn't heard.
Yeah. The owner of this racetrack and iRacing, we have an agreement essentially, bringing open wheel racing to where you can now say IndyCar again. Yay!
Yeah, a lot of great stuff coming out of that news, an extension of the licensing to use this track. The fact that we don't quite know when, and if you look at the special events calendar, that when is a big question mark. The Indianapolis 500s will be back. The special events for iRacing in some form. We'd imagine in the month of May, but if I remember right, Justin, the weekend before the 500 is the NERB 24 in iRacing. So there'll be some questions about calendars. Maybe some things will move. Who knows? But it's great news. It's absolutely great news. And of course, here on RaceSpot, in fact, actually this weekend, we're doing a US 500. So around Auto Club, I believe, and I sign-ups happened. I'm out of the loop on this, but yeah, sign-ups have happened. I think they're done. JP, talk about it. You know more than I do.
There's a lot of demand, let's put it that way, for bringing racing back, and it's the US 500 Welcome Back. For more details, go to the RaceSpotTV Discord. For more information, where the field is already essentially set with a lengthy entry list of 43 drivers for that one alone. Now, getting back to the PRL conversation tonight, down to the final minute of qualifying in this respective race. Richard Regan Jr., Dustin Scruggs, Thomas Sink, the current top 3 in qualifying. How would you describe driving the circuit when it comes to these Grand National cars this week here at Indy?
You know, ironically, since we can now use the word again, I think that driving these cars around the circuit will be sort of like driving an Indy car around the circuit, believe it or not. What I mean by that is if you watch Mark Kalin here, going around by himself, this looks like a pretty calm, smooth surface. You're sort of out for a Sunday drive, at a lot of speed. But for the start of this race or on restarts, when you're all in a pack together, that arrow that these cars all put off and the way the wind moves behind them, it will not be such a smooth ride for Mark Kalin in the pack, which is sort of the same way the Indy cars behave here at Indianapolis.
Take a look at Jacob Emery, currently 18th in qualifying on the second lap. And keep in mind, track position you talked about being so critical here. A lot of the drivers going to need to battle a lot through the race, at least half a second difference in qualifying pace alone. Will set the field here tonight. In turn, qualifying comes to a close, 55 minutes on the clock. Who can get to kiss the bricks and climb the fence at the Brickyard? Let's find out, shall we? As we look to see how the starting grid plays out here tonight. Lots of your contenders from last race getting the chance to start up front tonight. Regan Bulk Motorsports is Richard Regan Jr., one of the winningest drivers in recent years in the oval history of the PRL. He'll start alongside his development driver of Dustin Scruggs. Thomas Sink, a longtime series veteran in PRL oval racing on Wednesday, starts alongside Daniel Knight. Knight, a lot of good track position from the run. Matt Gagnon starts off in 5th alongside the former eNASCAR driver, Brandon Bowie. James Morgan starts off in the next grouping of drivers. He'll start alongside Mark Kalin amongst your top 8 competitors. As the page gets ready to flip over here, there it goes. Ryan Dunkelberger for Bowie Esports Bravo starts off 9th. He had a lot of speed before the speeding penalty in the last race. Doug Evans starts 10th. Dominic Begin starts off at 11th. Then it's Steve Loving looking to see if he can find a way from 12th to 1st. Adam Semke and Danny Cervantes start alongside next. Then it's Jeff T. Evans. Then Bradley Hawley. A different look tonight. He's in an orange car. He'll start alongside in 16th. Dalton Gayer starts alongside Jacob Emery. Then 19th spot goes the way of Matthew Smith. There were a lot of Matthew Smiths on the service. For reference, we're talking about the 22nd Matthew Smith on the platform. On the next grouping of page and turn, he'll start alongside Nick Silver. Jim Westerfield starts alongside Reese Bogue. Then Colton Lane starts alongside Nick McLaughlin to round out the drivers allowed to qualify. Everybody else, not around set times tonight. That includes Andrew Phipps, Joey Tebben, Paul Williams II, and Ted Lowendick, who will all start at the tail. So in turn, your keys to win the Brickyard tonight, Derek, as we get ready to go racing about 60 or so laps if it goes green.
If it goes green, indeed. Keys to victory here, I believe, really is just to be smooth and consistent and find that clean air as fast as possible. Don't get caught behind someone and have their arrow and their momentum dictate your race. Get clean air, even if it means running a second lane here, and be ready to run here. Now, this track sort of poses another big question mark, Justin. Yeah, obviously it's a very historic racetrack that almost any motorsports fan has heard of, but there's been such a love fest for the road course in the past 2 or 3 seasons due to NASCAR's racing there that it's been a long time since some of us have been able to run the oval here in cars such as the Grand National Series or the Cup Series. So there's still some question marks for me about, and I think probably for some of these drivers, about how this will go. Here's Richard Regan, by the way. And you see great advertising right there behind him with his name and all the logos and sponsors and in the VR headset.
He'll start again from the pole tonight. Richard Regan Jr., multiple times a Cup champion. He's also been very strong at the Grand Nationals. After all, he picked up the overall 2023 championship for the playoff bracket. And with him being the king of the long run at Michigan last week, he could potentially be the favorite here tonight. Who's your pick to win this one?
Oh, there's a good question. Pick to win this. I'm going to go dark horse. I'm going to go James Morgan here out of P7. Had a great run last week and his PRL debut running for Talbot Rossi Esports. I'm going to take James Morgan to surprise the field here and run really well.
Just for full disclosure, that's the team you own, correct?
Wow, way to call me out. Good job there, JP.
Just noting it. We note it all the time. Let's look to see who notes the notes right on the throttle. Richard Regan Jr. Green flag is out. He's off and away. His teammate Dustin Scruggs outside. A good launch for the 56 once more. Richard Regan Jr. holding off Thomas Sink in the opening lap. Dustin Scruggs got shoved into a battle for third in the early going. Now keep in mind this is a racetrack where you don't necessarily want to be side by side through these short chutes. Expect a lot of give and take if you want good tires tonight.
Yeah, there's not a lot of grip in more than the bottom lane of the corners here. So you don't want to be side by side, but you also don't want to be directly behind someone. So it's a real battle to try to get like half a car up and find some grip here and see what's going on. But look at this, pretty single file already. That's probably, what, 10, 11 cars back here. They're already single file and running here at this amazing speedway.
Lots of history here over the years in stock car racing, and especially more so at open wheel racing, to say the very least. But this is such a rhythmatic racetrack when it comes to this type of car, because you're talking about the Grand National machines having that balance of lots of low downforce and a fair amount of side force and bite, where if you push the car, it will fight back on you. As you take a look, 7th, that's Matthew Gagnon in the 14.
Yeah. Also, one of those direct drive wheels. See the big Moza logo there on the side. One of the companies that are now making direct drive equipment. So Matt having that moment here. Now this track will be a lot smoother than what the drivers faced in the last race. It will not be as bumpy or as aggressive here. So they'll have that going for them. As far as the direct drives will not be as painful as maybe they were an hour ago.
But in turn, you see some of the side-by-side just building up a bit up the road right now. Talking about this racetrack in turn, it's not as simple as it's the exact same type of corner each time. No. Technically, with all the bumps and the factors, you have to take each of these corners 4 different ways around the racetrack in theory.
In theory, you do. I agree with that. And also where traffic is plays a big part in that as well. And you see right there on your screen, look at that battle going there for 3rd and 4th. Every time the 17 gets under the 11, it changes the 11's approach of when does he brake, how high does he want to run, when does he start lifting, how much does he turn in, and all that matters here in this corner. And also, look at that. I mean, cars already running below the white line here through the corners, trying to find every bit of grip they can here early in this race.
Dustin Scruggs still trying to play a little bit of defense on Daniel Knight right now. One thing we may see a fair bit, bump drafting. Knight's trying to do it after all to keep up with Thomas Sink as he saves a little bit of gas.
Bump drafting is not a word I feel like we use too often here, but it is appropriate. I mean, this is long straightaways, and so any advantage you can find. But look, the 17 digging it in again there, trying to find a way to make it work. And every time he just can't get under the 11, and at that time he lost a little bit of momentum because of it.
Some of the conversation already from our spotter, who managed to finish in 12th in the truck race after being involved in 3 different caution flags, is the thought process potentially, if you're fighting like this, you have the potential to play with fire if you end up going too aggressive early.
Yeah, because if you get to the outside or inside of this parade lap here, you could find yourself pretty far back pretty quickly. You know, just kind of get past, like, it's like when you open a door at a restaurant, like, 42 people walk on by because I don't know why, but they do. That's kind of what could happen to you if you find yourself out of lane here. There's a battle in the back here, right there. That's side by side. That's James Morgan with the battling with the 26 car. The 26 got up under him, sort of drove James up the track, and is now the 26 trying to take advantage of it.
Still working around, and Morgan in turn stays in front of Dunkelberger at least, behind Matt Gagnon. And already some of these drivers with some of the battling starting to lose a little bit of ground here to the race leaders. You have this grouping starting to squabble a little bit. Even more so, Daniel Knight does not want to back down just up the road as well, because Brandon Bowie is crossing him up, Knight's hitting the wall, and Mark Halen is falling into the lap, all while James Morgan's under attack by Dunkelberger.
Yeah, Dunkelberger doing a great job here. I think we'll probably complete the pass here in turn 1. If not, he'll be side-by-side out of it. Morgan got a great run up top, though, and is now going to clear him. Be right above them and in front of them is where the real battles are going. Each time these cars begin to battle side-by-side, what they do is they're sort of killing their draft, keeping them involved in this race here. But I can't tell right now, Justin, if we're racing or if we're just like on like an Indianapolis parade lap here, because everybody is single file.
Keep in mind, it is about the conservation period. It's about the saving. Door opened up the road, by the way, side by side. Knight nearly shuffled by Kalen. But talking about Morgan, he's been highlighted on screen for a bit here. How would you describe James Morgan as a driver based on your experience working with him?
You know, James is one of our more quiet drivers at Tabata Rasa. He's a great racer. He comes in, he races, he knows what he's doing. He doesn't usually get aggressive or upset when something happens. He kind of shrugs it off, and times we'll laugh it off and just let it fly off his shoulder. I have a great time racing with and talking with James, one of our many Ohio natives over at Tabata Rasa Esports. So been a great driver, been a great member, and I'm happy to see him here in the PRL season for Grand Nationals.
In turn, trouble behind him. Doug Evans tries to send it on the rumble strips alongside Dunkelberger. Holds onto it and saves it. The 41 holds onto the inside line. Doug Evans nearly set himself for a ride.
Yeah, it certainly did. Doug, one of the two Evans family members in this race. Him and Jeff are both here tonight. Doug, of course, was Whataback Racing Overdrive, and didn't exactly overdrive, but almost drove that car off the track there. And that corner, I don't know how he saved that. That was a big wiggle you can see in that camera shot right there. So I'm sure he's a little worked up in that car right now.
Back to 14th. Keep in mind, the reason some of the aggression is it's so difficult to pass here, we talked about. Clean air, after all. It's going to be a big part of tonight, and it's hard to get clean air when the entire field's in a choo-choo train.
It really is. It's hard to get it. So now the mental challenge is happening for the driver, Justin, as you start to play this kind of game with yourself. When do I want to make a move, and how do I make it effectively? If I want to pass someone, I almost need to dig under them and get back in line as fast as possible. Otherwise, the pass doesn't work here right now with the way this group is racing. Now, about 9 minutes in, let's watch this, by the way. This is Doug Evans. Let's see what happens here. Oh, a nice little hello there from Dunkelberger.
Able to hold on to it in turn. According to reports from the Whataback camp, to say the least, he is relieved to be able to save it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that relieved is a word. Probably frustrated in the moment. Probably had to calm himself down and kind of get back in that racing mindset and not make that mistake worse. But, at that moment in the race car, you're obviously going to feel like you're the victim. You're going to feel like Dunkelberger came down on you, and maybe he did, maybe he didn't. It doesn't matter in this moment. You just have to recollect yourself, get a hold of the wheel, get back in that mindset, adjudicate what happened later. But right now, under green, there's no time for that here at Indianapolis. But yeah, right now as a driver, you have to plan your spot here, and you have to plan that pass. Because as you said, if you get out of line here and you fail to make a pass, you're probably going to go from wherever you are, probably minus 3 or 4 spots before you get back in line. Here's Matt Gagnon again here, part of Regan Bogue. And up here in P7, doing a great job here. Now going to try to pass on the outside here. That is Mark Kalin up ahead of him.
Not able to get alongside fully of Kalen, but is trying something different, trying to almost get a diamond down off the corners. So far not working fully to be able to get alongside, despite some of the draft effect. But you can tell the aggression is starting to pick up for some, because Knight is losing track of the top, and there's Gagnon offset, pushing Knight into the wall.
Wow, look at that wheel movement through that corner there. Much different than what we saw earlier. And you can see Matt's a little frustrated based upon the little bit of lip reading you could do there in that camera shot. But that was wild all of a sudden. And now things will bunch up a little bit and create some movement around the track here. Look at him back here, all moving back and forth, trying to find a lane, trying to find what to do here. And we're now 2 wide for the first time in a long time here at Indianapolis. Help someone down pit road is Daniel Knight.
I'm going to take the short shoot. There isn't mandatory damage, but Knight appears to be just about broken on the tie rod. So in turn, he pulls to the side. So we look back to Morgan. He's next in line in this queue. Gagnon still lined up behind Kalen here. So knowing the difficulty of making passes here, knowing the aggression so far, how do you play this now knowing you're on the midway point of the fuel run? Especially knowing we're likely indeed going to get about the 60 laps here.
So I think right now this comes to a conversation you and I've had before for different vehicles for PRL. Let's watch this again here real quick. Oh, I don't know if there was contact there. I think maybe
It
Knight
looked
just
like
got.
it was.
Yeah, maybe there was there, or if Knight went way off the track. But to come back to your question, what do you do here? I think now the idea is you do the old, what you and I have commented many times in F4 Formula D racing here for PRL, which is you now need to make the undercut work for yourself. You have to plan. We're going to go green. We're 55 minutes. So you think you want to pit right about halfway, so about 27 minutes into the race. But you want to do it either earlier or later than your opponents and find that clean air by yourself. So that undercut or overcut on pit road might be the winning move of the race here.
It's going to be curious who's able to pull that off. Keep in mind, the top 4 have been able to break away from the rest of the pack. Yep, that answers your question. Yes, there was definitely contact, Derek.
Yeah, that was the answer to my question, right? There definitely was some contact, and I'm sure Daniel Knight is none too pleased. I mean, even Matt Gagnon in that camera shot we saw, I don't know if this is a matter of what he thought happened from the in-car view or if he was trying to apologize or I don't know, but he did not look none too happy in that camera shot we saw a moment or two ago.
Kalen still holding on to 5th position in this, going 42 minutes to go on the clock. And Kalen's amongst those who have shown a lot of improvement this season. Last race, he showed some difficult times as the run went on, bouncing off the right side wall. But Bubbles the Wall Sponge is so far holding on to the top 5. Give it a moment because here comes Gagnon.
Yep, here comes Gagnon indeed. Now going to try to make the pass here and try to find a different line. He'll try to get Kalen a little loose up in that top groove. And man, he is really laying on him and really got Kalen way up the line there. But Morgan's going to move up and try to give Kalen that little bit of drafting help here. And now they're going to get back in line out of the corner here. No harm, no foul. Everybody's in the same exact spot as where we started.
In turn, Morgan, he's saying, why not? Let's go places to the inside line. I'm not backing out of it, though, as here comes Dunkelberger and all this. Loving, and you know who's also in the conversation? Remember the new look for Bradley Holly tonight? The orange 184 is one of your bigger movers, up 6 spots. He's one of the fastest cars on the racetrack as well. He's faster than the leader.
Yeah, he's doing great. He was excited to come here, by the way. He told me that it was going to feel great to come to a track we'd not been to in a while. He acknowledged that passing has been difficult here in the past unless someone makes a mistake. But he was excited to race here tonight, and it shows right now in the great run he's having at times. So Bradley Holly right now, and back at P10, of course, one of our more successful winners in PRL. And Bradley Holly is known to kind of come out of nowhere and find himself in the winner's circle. So don't count him out just because he's P10.
Expecting the potential to be in the conversation for the top 5 later as Morgan has made the pass on the 14, by the way. In turn, Morgan now next in line to try and battle with the 62. Keep in mind these drivers, as they've been all trying to figure out a way to get alongside Mark, they've lost 2 seconds in the midst of this fight.
Yeah, that's sort of the downside to all this attempting to pass, right? Here's Richard Regan. That's your race leader. And then we come back. That's the gap right there. That's how the great camera shot by our producer to show you the 2-second gap we're facing here. I mean, Richard Regan has checked out this whole race. Told me this. Richard Regan told me, by the way, Justin, tonight would be the first time he's touched Indianapolis, the oval at least, in 3 years on iRacing.
Of note, Daniel Knight has just exited the pits more than 3.5 minutes of repairs for the 17. That's why he ducked down despite the no meatball flag. Near contact behind in the battle for 7th now. Dunkelberger just tried to send it underneath the 14, nearly turned him.
Yeah, that's part of what happens here when you get single file and you get frustrated. You kind of start to dig a car in, and unfortunately you will end up turning someone or yourself if you're not careful. And that gap right now is continuing to, or at least holding steady, if not continuing to grow slowly between Mark Kalin and Richard Regan here. This is the closest battle on track, by the way. We're focused back here because of this big gaggle of cars you can see through this camera shot. I mean, I know the comment Justin likes to use, you can throw a blanket on them. You can catch them all right now.
See some of the others in the line starting to jump in the queue with Steve Loving trying to make some moves. He looks inside. No dice for Steve Loving. The RBM machine nearly makes contact trying to get back in line with Waterback's Bradley Holly.
That was very, very tight right there. I think Holly probably had to lift just a little bit or face, the potential of contact happening right there. It's a great job by Bradley Holly. Look at this camera shot, by the way. I always like to look at Bradley Holly's camera, JPs. You never know what might be new since the last time you saw his camera there. Look at, he changed it on us right there live. 1, 2, 3 monitors, that big widescreen monitor. And I don't know if he's watching the broadcast and turned it on us, if it's automatic, but that might just be an automatic change. I don't know.
Keep in mind, you're talking about technically 2 racing setups there, now that I look at it, because as he smokes his vape, it looks like, or chews on something, he has the timing screen on the left we've seen the racetrack map on the right. You have the racing triple screen with the 1 monitor. That's $1,000, by the way. For the wide triple screen is 1 monitor. You have 2 or 3 monitors, and now you have a caution flag. And it's for 20th. It's Andrew Phipps who goes around the 22, brings out the yellow.
Wow, wow, wow. That's Andrew Phipps, as you said, already down on pit road themselves. Part of Bowie Esports Alpha, but we'll wait and see what happened to bring it out here. Now, this will bring up some questions. Obviously, I would think everybody is going to pit. There's no way you don't pit here at Indianapolis. Now, we'll see who's better on pit road and who can gain some time as Richard Regan will go find the pace car here. And I'm excited to see that replay of what finally happened here.
Better question's going to be, can they make it on gas from this point?
That is a question. I would suspect probably, the drivers, what was that, probably 5th on back who were drafting. Maybe. Well, they still have better odds. I mean, Richard Regan will be the one in the unfortunate role of definitely saying no. But we'll wait and see what happens here. Finally, they're going to catch the iRacing pace truck here on the back straight. That means the pits will open this time by. I think what I would probably do, well, let's see this replay first. Oh, he just got loose by himself.
Oh. Hard contact for Phipps to the wall, so the Battle Beaver machine now having a battle back from a meatball flag after not being allowed to qualify. Not the night for Phipps to remember. That puts him in the conversation for more incident points on the early going on the penalty sheet.
Now, remember when... Go ahead, sorry.
You go ahead.
And remember here, just you see him on your camera shot when to bring him up here, the drivers are not required to use the access road here on the way in at Indianapolis. So that's why everyone's kind of driving by this one here. That will be used for IndyCar. On the way out, however, JP, I believe they are required to use the access road to get off pit road.
I don't think they even use the access road for IndyCar these days. It's more so a safety access point. But this was a question possibly tonight, was it going to be the IndyCar cone or the NASCAR cone? It is the NASCAR cone placement, so the pit lane speed limit starts way before the pit wall. Expect 4 tires from everyone here.
Yep, expect 4 tires indeed. Everyone to try to fill it up on gas, and it's going to be who can carry that little oomph of speed down pit road. We'll see if there's any big gains or losses when we come back out here.
Thomas Sink missed the pit stall. That was just a point to get to next. Concrete boxes, asphalt apron and lane. At least one sliding for the boxes in turn there. Richard Regan Jr., despite a lengthy stop, holds up Dustin Scruggs, and Brandon Bowie gets himself up to the inside of row 2 for the restart.
Yeah, we'll line him up here again. That's James Morgan up in 4th, by the way. See that happening here. So lots of movement on pit road. Drivers who were able to get that little extra speed down pit road or get off without spinning your tires. That is a very difficult task, believe it or not, for those who maybe are newer to iRacing or maybe have not done races where pit stops are required. The idea of really gassing the car to get off pit road, but not spinning the tires is an art that can gain you spots or lose you spots on pit road.
Big point to think about for the long term, especially at this racetrack. And in turn, expect a lot of slow cars getting to the pace truck. If you remember from the early days, and I'm talking 2018 here, one of the common things that you see in NIS, for example, was drivers going 50 miles an hour to get to the pace truck because nobody wants to burn fuel here at the risk of running out.
I agree. In fact, what I would probably do if I was someone like Joey Tebben and Nick McLaughlin, it's Ted Lowendick, even a Reese Bogue back here towards the end of this lead lap, I would dip down again. I would dip down pit road right here, and I would put gas in the car again. In fact, here comes Colton Lane taking my advice. Going to come down and fill it up again because, as you said, gas will be a question mark if this stays green. And I'll be honest with you, how that race was starting to spread out and how we were starting to get the single file, single lane runs, I was starting to really kind of cross off the topic of cautions off my sheet as I thought that wasn't going to happen. There's one or two more takers here, by the way. So those drivers will have an oomph more confidence of making it on gas than those up front.
So again, it's Regan Jr., Scruggs, Bowie, Morgan, Gagnon, Dunkelberger, Loving, Kalen, Holly, Sink in your top 10. Sink lost 8 spots from that pit road slide. Your biggest mover coming into this restart is just so happened to be Joey Tebben. So, real quickly here. Coming from the RaceSpot's favorite driver club, Joey, how are you the biggest mover in the field and why?
Good question. I think I had a shockingly good pit stop. I don't know how this happened, but I jumped Nick, I jumped Geyer, I jumped Paul Williams. I thought it was a normal stop, but I got some free stuff out of it, and I'm shaking because I'm starting behind Reese, and he hit the wall a ton of times in practice, but I'm ready to go here, and I hope I don't die.
Great points, Joey. That's Joey Tebben, hoping to not speak what he just said into existence. Up at front, it's Regan Jr. in control for the restart. Scruggs, he's going to potentially be able to get a good read here with his teammate alongside. Bowie on back should be interesting. Looking like they're waiting all the way for the green flag this time. And there it goes. Green is out. And everybody with a great launch. Perfect launch from the whole field. Side by side for second. Scruggs trying to hold on to the outside. Regan Jr. clears on first. Bowie looking for second, but the caution is out. And Nick McLaughlin is in it.
He's turned around here on the short shoots of the corners here. We'll wait and see what happened to him. But that's going to calm down a little bit of the talk about fuel mileage here. It doesn't settle it, but it really does put Jim Lesterfield and Colton Lane in a better spot. Those are the two drivers who came down on that extra lap.
Well,
but, we'll wait and see what happens here.
I have a point on that one.
Okay.
Both of those drivers you just named were in the incident.
Oh, well, that's going to kill that topic then, isn't it?
It happens with Doug Evans getting a hit from Nick Silver, and then the big one.
Oh, yeah, so it does. It's a big calamity back here. You see parts flying everywhere, and there's 37 parked sideways. So, yeah, you're right. That's Nick McLaughlin. So, for people like Richard Regan and those up front, this will make them feel a little bit better about their gas mileage. I'm going to say it again, though. If I was a Lowendick, a Matthew Smith, a Jacob Emery, who were not involved in that incident, or other cars towards the back of the field, come in here and put more gas in. Put yourself in a better spot.
Race control is now telling the entire field they can save when they get to the pace truck. So everyone's been told to pick up the pace to get to the truck in turn 4.
Well, and here's the problem. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Here's the challenge with that is what happens in this case and why race control wants him to get to the truck is unlike real racing where race control can make other decisions, you can't pass people to get to pit road to fix damage. You have to get in line, be lined up, get down pit road in line, or you'll eat a black flag here from race control. So they want everyone to catch the pace truck so everyone can pit fairly and come on down. Here's Thomas Sink here. And oh, this is him missing the stop last time. Yeah. Oh, that's a big backup there. That was almost a whole pit stall. I think you called that live, but that's a big one here.
So several drivers entering the pit lane this time, many for repairs, including Nick McLaughlin. Before the caution, he was the biggest mover before Joey Tebben took the crown. Nick, you're no longer the biggest mover. How are you feeling?
I've moved the opposite direction. We got a little unlucky in that checkup and just got turned around there, so a couple minutes of repairs. We'll see how much I can repaired and get back out there.
So in turn, how difficult has it been trying to overcome the not allowed to qualify penalty after or rather starting towards the back? Some of your teammates got that penalty.
Oof.
You just ended up having the bad qualifying run.
Yeah, it's oval's definitely not my forte. I would have much preferred the road course here, but you know, it is what it is. We got to work with the teammates a little bit, and I actually ended up following RaceSpotTV kind of through the crowd there and made up those spots. So we'll see if we can do it again.
Let you get back to the repairs, Nick.
Cheers.
That's Mick McLaughlin trying to beat the pace car that's in the middle of the short chute right now. In turn, he's still getting the repairs done. Fuel conservation mode here right across the field. Technical issues under caution for Danny Cervantes. Bad luck if he was inside the top 10 prior to that situation. But you know who was hoping probably that stay green a little bit longer? Brandon Bowie. He had a chance to go to a season-high second if that stayed green an extra few seconds.
Yeah, he could have got out there and got it made here. Now, the question some people will ask as they're watching the broadcast is, how do you conserve fuel under caution? There's a couple ways to do it. The first one's you want to be at really low RPM. So what a lot of these drivers will do is kick this up into their top gear, sort of let it run at very low. Listen to this engine here. In fact, you hear it's barely moving. In that case, whoever this is we're riding with here, I think this is going to be Brandon Bowie we're on board with here. It looks like he's turning it on and off. That's one strategy drivers will use. The other is sort of putting a little bit of gas into it and sort of letting it coast for a while. There's a lot of strategies in how the drivers believe you can save gas on iRacing here. Now, the danger of that whole ignition thing right there, you and I've seen it more than once where someone turns it off and then technical gremlins, or they forgot what button to press, or they missed the button or something, and the engine doesn't turn back on. And that's why I'm not the biggest fan of that strategy, but it does work.
Officially, Daniel Cervantes out of the race, technical issues. So he drops out from where he was running around 11th. Clutch and coasting. And turning off the engine still for Richard Regan Jr. and the rest of the field, including Bowie. Remember Bowie? One time a professional driver on the iRacing service in the early days of what's now the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. That was about a decade ago. And had been in and on the platform in the early days, as in, we're talking 1990s days, leading up into the predecessors that led eventually to iRacing. And expecting him to potentially be a contender here for many races this season. He's been very solid, after all, in many of his respective races in RSR. Richard Regan Jr. in front of him, warming up the tires. 25 minutes on the clock. A fuel mileage race. Breaking out on IMS. We're backing away. And there goes Bowie. He's on the back bumper and looking to push far. Near contact behind the battle in the 10th spot as Bowie looks for the lead.
The question now I have right now, JP, is Bowie looking for the lead, or is Bowie looking to stick his nose right under that bumper and get more draft, therefore meaning burning less fuel? I don't know that anyone's eager to get to the front here, because they know that Richard Regan right now has the unfortunate job of burning more fuel. But you're right. There goes Brandon Bowie, and he's now moving up to the front here in turns 3.
Side by side, Richard Regan Jr. on the outside, Bowie on the inside. Trying to make things work along the edge of the rumble strips. The squeeze down from Regan Jr. holds on to the point for the time being.
Now, I want to point this out. We talked a lot about the hands last race, rocking him how bumpy it was. You can see Richard Regan here. Watch the hands into turn 1 here. Barely any movement. Very calm, very stoic. Not fighting it there. Just very gentle movements out of Richard Regan. And a lot of times, the more gentle the input you can put into that car, the better you'll save tires later in the run.
In turn, Bowie looking to try and see how things play out. We'll see how many drivers clutch and coast. Looks like maybe Bowie starting to back up a touch. Same for a couple others here. Side by side, mind you, for 13th on back. It's a conga line on forward.
Yeah, conga line's a good word here with just a little bit of movement. Everyone trying to kind of keep pace with each other and not break that line. But here's Richard Regan, now almost pulls out of line, wanting to kill that drafting run that Brandon Bowie had. And now he'll get back in line here to get up top and be ready to make that entrance for turn 1.
And here's the tough thing. With it being so marginally close on gas, it's not just as simple as, let's push the car and go. You push the car, you might not make it to the checker flag if it stays green. Bowie's pushing the car to the grass nearly for the lead.
Almost a Tony Kanaan style move there from this year's Indy 500, what Bowie just did there. But you're right, I am stunned that Bowie's willing to make this move here. And now Richard Regan's going to try to make the crossover work.
Trying to go side by side again. Bowie with the squeeze. Bowie Esports for the first time tonight. To the point. Bowie looks to hold.
Nice job there by Bowie. He's going to take the lead here. Now, Richard Regan can sit in second place and conserve a little bit more fuel because right now he was burning the most of those top 4 cars since he had no one in front of him to use that draft. Now, here's Regan here. Now, look, watch to see if the hands are a little bit more movement here. That's still pretty stoic, actually, for being behind someone having that dirty air. But now we'll see if Regan is comfortable to sit here and conserve or if he's going to try to find his way back around. Knowing Richard Regan like I do, Justin, I'm guessing he'll find his way back around.
And remember, he has a history of just conserving, remaining patient, waiting to see what happens, then running away once the door opens up for him to run away. We've seen that last time out at Michigan with the battle with Bradley Hawley, where he conserved, pushed Bradley Hawley around the racetrack, then ran away from him after the pit stop cycle by 2-3 seconds.
Yeah, sort of biding his time here, and maybe in his own way, weird enough, hoping for one more caution might be what Richard Regan's doing. I would think one more caution, if it comes out here, probably closes the fuel window, probably makes everyone feel safe on gas. Right now, I agree with you, there's probably still a question mark for some teams and some drivers, but not right here. Let's watch Brandon Bowie. This is that pass here. Down to the grass.
And sometimes you just have to go if you open up the door. You have to go. Regan Jr. tried the crossover, but still, you can pitch from the top. In turn, that's how Bowie got the race lead by this exact spot. We're in live action now. 20 minutes to go on the clock. Lots of trouble in the back we're hearing. Richard Regan, or rather, Reese Bogue, the co-owner of Richard Regan's team, has just got into a shoving match, apparently, with Joey Tebbin.
Well, we heard Tebbin say under caution a couple times ago that he thought that Reese Bogue was having a tough night and it hit the wall a few times. So, not sure if that was the cause of that or what may have happened. But, yeah, we sort of saw that foreshadowed by the comments from Joey Tebbin earlier.
I think Joey's in uncharted territory, I will say. He's in 13th. Has he ever finished in the top 10?
Well, Joey's had a great run in the PRL Grand National Series here. This is his, I believe, his third season, I should say, and has shown great runs here in the Grand National. Surprising himself and his teammate Ted Lowendick have both had great runs over time. But you know, obviously, this is probably a course where Joey has run in other vehicles, but I would be surprised if Joey has run this course with this vehicle in the past.
I know he's called races with this vehicle, but calling a race and being in the race car, depending on the context, can be two different things. Here's the pushing and shoving, a little bit of a bobble, pushes Tevin down the track, and then Logan turn, tries to run away, but he couldn't in turn because he hit the wall. The next straight.
Yeah, it looks like Bogue really is having a hard time tonight with the handling that car, and then of course Tevin's going to get the push there down the straight, and then get up in front of Bogue. Should be contact again here? I don't think so. I think Tevin's is going to pull away from him.
Now, for reference, the Evans do work with a few of those drivers from that respective camp we talked about sometimes, in particular on the Monday nights. Joey Tevin is amongst those who is making a charge, though, on the outside. Adam Zemke trying to hold on to the inside. The 8-0 What a Back Girls machine is on the prowl for spots.
Yeah, doing a great job here. Looking in an 06 machine here up top. That's that yellow machine you see right there. Joey's running a little higher lane, trying to get around here. And man, this pack back here for like 10th through what? Is that probably 20th on back? Is so close together. Just any one mistake by any driver really could amplify behind them and impact a lot of races right here with about 17 and a half minutes to go. And I wonder if anyone's conserving. I wonder if anyone's not playing all their cards yet. If anyone back here is maybe is lifting, hoping to get some spots at the end if others run out of gas.
A couple drivers over the radio and through the spotter channels hearing are good, but it's the matter of, is everyone good? We'll have to see. Matt Gagnon amongst those holding on to 7th. Bradley Hawley up to a race-high 8th. Up 8 spots so far tonight. Looking to see if he can be the next driver to try and make a move in that 14 car.
Yeah, trying to see what move they can make happen here and how they can make it work. A little bit of smoke there as someone kissed the wall coming out. Going up to 14. That was Matt who kissed the wall coming off the corner there out of 4. So let's watch this here, Justin. So let's see again. Ready? This is turns 1 and 2 right here.
What?
Telling you. It's new math. Right here. Here's turns 3 and 4. Do it. Come on, do it for me. Go 3 and 4 right here.
Turn 2.
Come down the
Backstretch.
Okay, that we agree on. It's the backstretch. This part we agree on. And here it comes. Here it comes. I think it's Bradley Holly the inside here. Down into turns 5 and 6.
Turn 3.
He'll take the short shoot here. And I think he's going to get him here in turns 7 and 8.
It's turn 4, followed by turn blurple. See? Turn blurple. What?
So, yes,
you haven't watched that show where they try and say blurple's a number and it ends up being a story plot where it fails a kid because they're a bad kid in tutoring?
No, what show is that?
One of the Disney shows from the 2000s, everybody.
Oh, okay. I don't know that show. Well, so there you go. Depending upon your point of view, there's either 4 or 8 corners at Indianapolis. Justin's obviously team 4. So there we go. Maybe we get James Morgan for an interview later. We'll ask him how many turns there are. We'll see what he says. But doing a great job here. Everyone is tonight doing a really great job. This is a pretty clean race. Obviously single file, maybe hard to pass, but everyone's being pretty calm and patient. What happens sometimes at a track like this, Justin, where you can't pass, is drivers will get a little aggressive with those bumpers, and they'll sort of try to, maybe old NASCAR short track style, try to move someone and make it happen. But right now, everyone's being pretty patient here. But I bet as we get less than 10 minutes to go, that patience begins to wear off a little bit.
Especially since we're under 16 estimated laps to go and under 15 minutes on the clock, turning about 55-second lap time still, so the fall off nearly 2 seconds once more. That's usually been the trend where if you keep it around 2 seconds, it means you're a good driver. You go past 2 seconds, you should be pressing that panic button.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's probably the point where you do want to panic a little bit here. But I still have some questions about Brandon Bowie and Richard Regan. They may have a comfortable lead, and even Dustin Scruggs. Oh, there's a bunch of wall hits right there. out of that corner. Everyone's okay. Was that RaceSpoke again?
No, it wasn't. That was Steve Loving in the group of all that. You also had Joey Tebben with RaceSpoke in that battle. I think it was Tebben more so who hit the door.
Wow, lots of smoke came out of that corner there, but those top 3 cars who are pulling that lead, man, if I was them right now, I would back up that lead a little bit. There's no need to have that lead. You can have it, half a second less and maybe be more confident. They must feel as though they're good on gas. They must have the confidence. And, Brandon Bowie has a real-life spotter with him tonight, Brandon Six, who's up in the box making the calls. But they must feel like they're good.
I think a lot of drivers must be feeling good at this point if they're willing to be this aggressive. Joey Tebben's had to back out of things, though. Hearing that contact was more so the 14 to the 184, so Gagnon and Hawley at the head of this train who are bump drafting. Tebben, he's trying to have a lot of give. He does not want to be up top. He's forced up top because Jeff Evans is pushing up the track and helping him up top.
Wow. Yeah, Jeff Evans did not leave a lot of room there for Tebben, and that was really tight. And a racetrack that doesn't have multiple grooves usually, that had to have been a very scary, scary ride for Tebben. Unsure if he was going to get slammed into the wall or not.
Oh, here we go. Some more pokes in front of them, though. Trouble in front. Dominic Began just got rammed up the track by RaceSpoke. Apologies over the radio, but no caution. The 66. The 6-box Motorsports machine. Significant right side damage from that hard hit. Oh, and here we go again.
Oh, no.
Jeff Evans across the track. Caution flag is out. It's the big one. Nick Silver and several more slam in. Jacob Emery spins it around. And a massive pile up before the start and finish line.
Wow, a massive pile up indeed. Now, that was really hard hit. I'm not sure if Evans has caught the wall and then it sort of slammed him in the inside or if he had some assistance in either of those actions, but this is going to change the whole narrative the last 7 or 8 minutes of racing when we get green again here. Man, oh man, what a difference this is going to be.
We've seen the camera viewpoint of Jeff Evans in the midst of that incident already was shaking his head in the middle of being hit by 3 or 4 different cars. Meatball flags for Emery and Evans. We also had a black flag clear for the 06 of Joey Tebben from the Dodge hitting the cone in the midst of that initial contact. Remember, the 66 hit the wall to trigger that after they were sent into the wall. And then here they go.
Wow, and of course there's always the innocent bystanders back here who really thought they were doing the right thing by going forward and racing, and next thing you know there's just a car basically parked in front of them here at this moment on the track. Well, now everyone's going to come down pit road, whether they were part of that incident or not. You'll get new tires, you'll put enough gas in this race, and you're going to go full throttle racing. So anyone who thought they weren't good, they are now good on gas. And frankly, JP, anyone who thought they were good on gas is probably a little upset that everyone's going to be on level playing grounds.
This battle for the race win's about to get extremely aggressive here. With 10 minutes on the clock, you're talking about single digits to decide it at the Brickyard. Here's a look from Colton Lane. He was running 16th.
Oh. That's... I wouldn't say that was a great save or a great avoidance, honestly, JP, but no disrespect to Colton. That was just great luck.
Extremely lucky. So a lot of discussion over the radio as the pit window is open and the pit lane in turn is open. Despite iRacing cameras, here's Nick Silver. He was in the heart of it in the 88.
Whoa, that's... oh, no, man.
He almost made it.
And frankly,
almost,
compared to where he could have been, that's okay.
Almost doesn't work in race cars, though.
Yeah, horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yes, indeed. Pit stops underway. One driver overruns their box. Dustin Scruggs potentially to lose a lot of spots here. Already 4 tires complete down the lane for RaceSpoke. 2 tires, Adam Semke. That will not get him the lead. Brandon Bowie gets the lead over Regan Jr. Zemke with the boldest call of the night in the Detroit Gasket car to get to third on 2.
That is a very bold move and a very bold call right there that I am unsure of what that is going to do. I think it's going to loosen that car up a lot is what it's going to do, and it's going to make those corners interesting. The Xfinity car is often known to have looser setups than other vehicles on the iRacing service to begin with. So now this is Jeff Evans, by the way. Let's watch this here. Someone checked up in front of him, and then that's what he saw right there. Just nothing he could do right there. Just let loose of the wheel and let it happen.
So in turn, this Bunsto's out of the race. There is one other driver hearing that took 2 tires, Joey Tebbin. Let's bring Joey back in. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joey. You have some connections with Whataback, correct?
I mean, I guess sort of satellite sort of thing. We're orbiting around the Whataback verse.
So I'm going to ask you this, since apparently the Whataback's overall consensus is they do not like the 2-tire call that Zemke just took. You took 2 tires. Why did you take 2 tires?
I'm not taking 2 tires anymore because the pit lane is still open. I'm putting my left side tires on because I got a drop to end penalty. Because when I got into the back of Jeff or was avoiding Dom or whatever happened, I got to the inside of the pit cone and then got back out to not hit the attenuator, and I got a penalty for that. They cleared the black flag, but I still had a drop to end penalty that they couldn't clear, so I'm starting at the back on the restart.
Okay, so that answers that question. Only one will keep it out on 2 tires. Good luck from the back, Joey.
Thank you, Mr. Prince.
Joey Tebbin, very disappointed. The radio. Just so happen to have Jeff Evans quickly. Jeff, what happened?
Oh, man. Just had a car getting in the wall coming off of 4 and tried to go left to avoid him. And Joey just, I don't think, was aware that we had to check up to get around him and just got a little bit of a shove. Car was too off balance and we're on to go.
How would you describe the battles of tonight in turn, though?
It kind of frustrating. Just kind of stuck in place, really. There wasn't really a lot you could do to get a good run on people unless you had a different tire strategy, but we really didn't have a chance to do that, so just kind of stuck in place once you guys get going and a couple laps into the runs.
Thank you for the time.
Yep.
That's Jeff Evans. Taking time to speak with us. He now gets to be in the club. Lots of eyes on the 57 coming to the green flag, Derek. 2-tire call, about 7-8 laps to go. This could get interesting.
Oh, this will get interesting. I have no doubt about the could. It's going to get interesting. It's going to get really hairy and really sketchy here quickly. I'm intrigued to see if it pays off. Sometimes different is better. Well, let's see here as we go green at the Brickyard.
Few drivers still catching up to the field here. Green flag is out. 7 to go on the estimate. 6 to go. Make it 5.5 minutes to go on the clock. Bowie already clearing the 1. Regan Jr. looking for the setup. Zemke being swarmed.
He spun the tires on the start, Justin. You can see he didn't get a great launch. And now it's created this little hornet's nest behind him where everyone's trying to find a way around him. Look behind him. You see Morgan and the others all trying to get around. Now they're going to put in 3 wide on the back straight, and he is falling like a rock so far with that 2-tire strategy.
3 wide in turn. Zemke wants out of it. Kalen tries to look outside in turn. So Zemke's call already dropping him back into a battle for 8. Near contact for James Morgan with the side of Bradley Hawley. Hawley's up to the top 5 for the first time.
Right now we're back to single file, but look up front, and what's happening is that Richard Regan is doing his best to break that draft line. We're watching Bradley Hawley here, and from the front you can kind of see the front of the field up there, but Richard Regan and down the straights is trying to break that drafting line when he can. Right now he's got someone side by side. Hold caution's out.
Andrew
that might be the race.
Yes, and I think this one's going to get reviewed. This is Bowie Esports Alpha driver Andrew Phipps in his second caution. And apparently, he went very fast into the back of Daniel Knight. for the caution, as looks like meatball flag starting to fly. Dustin Scruggs just got one under caution. I think he got into a secondary incident at the other side of the race incident here.
Now let's take a look at everything we can see here in the replay machine. But instead, Phipps already lapsed down, so I'm not sure what may have happened with him. But yeah, if this turns into a quick caution, maybe we go green again. I don't know. It's going to be very tight on the timer here. We'll see if we can get word from race control in a moment. But right now, if you are Brandon Bowie, you are. And Bowie, I said earlier Regan was breaking the draft. I misspoke. It was Bowie. I got kind of excited and mixed up my cars or my names. Bowie was the one breaking the draft up there. They're going to try to catch the pace truck as fast as possible here. But I don't know. 3 minutes left here. This will be tight.
So it's going to get interesting. 2 different incidents to cause the caution. The closest to the front was Ted Lowendick, getting to the back end hearing of Reese Bogue. That's why we've seen both Bogue as well as Dustin Scruggs having issues. Both are now out of the race. Doug Evans also in turn has a meatball flag for the incident. You also had the second contact that was towards the back. This is the second part. Remember, Phipps doesn't see what's happening. Knight does. I think Knight thought the caution was already out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Phipps ran him over, but like I understand checking up for a caution for a wreck, but man, it looked like Knight was just like it stopped. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to. Yeah, that's hard because I get why Knight wanted to not be in the wreck, but you have to keep moving a little bit. You can't just like stop in front of the field, especially at Indianapolis where we're going so fast. We're crossing the line here with 2 minutes to go. And I do not see lights in the pace truck. Do I?
I see them. They are still on.
I think we're done.
Race control is just explaining the situation now to the field, where if it doesn't go green, they are telling the field they will stay single file. Now keep in mind, the pace laps are about 1 minute and 32 seconds on the average, maybe 1:36 up front, depending on where you're at. There was 1 minute and 24 on the clock. You can do the math.
About a minute. It was about 1:50, 1:55 when they crossed the line. So I believe the white flag will come out this next time by, and I believe they're done. So unless something weird happens here, Brandon Bowie is going to win this race with Dunkelberger, Regan, Gagnon, and Bradley Holly top 5. Remember earlier we said Bradley Holly, don't count him out, was 10th earlier, snuck his way into the top 5.
Into turn. So again, it's Bowie, Dunkelbergen, Berger, Regan Jr. in your top 3, coming up to start lap 50. Bowie Esports amongst one of the new groups coming into this season for this series. Bowie, Munstall's trying to make a comeback for a NASCAR competition. Was Munstall's in the conversation a couple years ago for RTP in the first and second rounds. In turn, has also ran in series like RSR since then and has picked up some teammates along the way. And now, with 8 seconds on the clock, expecting this to come to the final lap this time around, with exactly half a second to spare for the white flag.
Just barely. A buzzer beater, if you will, here. So they're just going to ride it around one more time and call it single file here.
And
we're done.
Hold on. They just got an explanation from race control. They are now planning to extend this and finish under the yellow with a single file restart, Derek. That's now the clarification just received at the stripe.
Fair enough. If that's what they want to do, that's what we're going to do. And we'll be here to broadcast it and be here for the excitement of it. Of course, coming back a topic, you mentioned RTP Road to Pro. I won't go to them. Let's say there's lots of conversation about Road to Pro this week. That'll come back in a couple weeks on iRacing. So that'll be fun to see when that gets back on the schedule. Of course, I think after this tonight, JP, you and I basically go camp out at Virtual Daytona for a while, right?
Whether it's the road course or the super speedway, possibly, yeah.
I mean, there's the Roar, there's the 24, there's the 500. There's probably some league races there. Yeah, might as well just buy a virtual RV and go change my address to the Virtual Daytona International Speedway here. And of course, some of us will be racing it next weekend. Some of us will be commentating it next weekend. Some of us might be doing it both. But let's see what's going to happen here. They're coming around here, and Brandon Bowie's still the leader here.
So again, it's extended and will be finishing. Now it's been edited to under yellow.
Under yellow
is the clarification.
Because what would have happened per iRacing, which is kind of a weird thing that happens, is iRacing, we saw the lights go off for just a moment before race control extended to yellow. What would have happened is the pace car would have pulled down here on the white flag at its spot, and it would have made them race from basically like the pit wall to the finish line, which nobody wants to end a race that way, right?
You know who wants to finish this race and just got the finish? Brandon Bowie. Brandon Bowie picks up his first one in the PRL and gets it done in the Brickyard. The 23 for Brandon Bowie Esports gets the win. And here comes the congratulation party. Richard Regan Jr. congratulating him. Dunkelberger with a second place run tonight. And I think this shows, again, the respect for all the experience Bowie has. We're talking about someone who had experience in the early going of the series in eNASCAR competition for about 2 to 3 seasons. And amongst those who is trying to make a resurgence in the life as a sim racer in the most recent seasons.
And you're right. Look at that as showing your respect still happening here throughout the field for Brandon. All the drivers who kind of drove there and just kind of said hello, and in that kind of racer way where you just kind of bump the car and drive close, and that's cool to see. And even still happening back here through the field. People wanting to come say hello to Brandon and give him that moment here. So he'll come around here at Indianapolis and he'll do some burnouts and have a moment. There's a little bump draft from the 29 to say hello and congrats. So nice job there.
That is a teammate who had a lot of bad luck tonight, helping him celebrate there. And Ryan Dunkelberger is a teammate. So a 1-2 for Bowie Esports here tonight. Brandon Bowie gets to kiss the bricks at the Brickyard tonight. The teal and black 23 gets the win in the PRL's Grand National Series, his first of the season, and in his PRL time in this set series. As Bowie celebrates, let's take a glance and get ready to celebrate the unofficial race results as the pace truck nearly runs through Brandon Bowie.
I got really scared for a moment.
In turn, Bowie and Dunkelberger 1 and 2. Alpha and Bravo go 1 and 2. Richard Regan Jr. finishes in third. Matt Gagnon finishes fourth, with Bradley Hawley going from 11 spots back to go in the top 5. James Morgan 6, Kalen, Zemke, Loving, and Lane, your top 10. In turn, a lot of the same groupings back there. Then, talk about a lot of the same groupings, a lot of teammates back here. Thomas Sink 11, Dominic Begin from that contact still holding on to 12. Doug Evans, Jim Westerfield for Whataback, 13th, 14th. Then the 8-0 Whataback girls, 15th to 17th. Lowen Dick Tebbett and McLaughlin. Nick Silver recovers from being involved in the big one to 18th. Paul Williams II after not being able to qualify the 24/7 Motorsports car in 19th. Dalton Gayer, the 6-box Motorsports machine, finished 20th. Daniel Knight finished a lap down after having to get repairs done under green. Jacob Emery finished 2 laps down in 22nd. Scruggs DNF'd along with Reese Bogue. Andrew Phipps also DNF'd along with Jeff Evans. Matthew Smith and Danny Cervantes had technical issues for the end of tonight's action. 25 laps down to finish dead last. Tonight, though, it goes the way of the Ghost Rider. It's Brandon Bowie who picks up the win. Welcome to PRL Victory Lane, Brandon. Talk us through the battle for the win tonight.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. Being able to, 'cause honestly, at the beginning of the race, I watched basically what I thought, and Richard basically took off and controlled the lead pretty good. So it was, to my understanding, is that what you had to do to win. So, cautions kind of took out some of the fast guys from what I was hearing. And that kind of allowed us to kind of stay up front and make some moves, and was able to get in front of him, pass him on the high side, and somehow, some way, was able to hold him off all that time and get a win.
But in turn, what was going through the mind as the race laps ticked down? You had teammate and Dunkelberger making a late race surge. You had Regan Jr. still providing pressure. In turn, what was going to your mind with all that while having the fuel conservation in the minds of some?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I had my teammate Brandon Six was actually kind of telling me in my ear, like, okay, you're pretty much controlling the pace. As long as you don't, mess up or make any wrong moves or anything like that, then you should be able to hold it. But if we get a caution, it's going to throw everything out the window. And that's, where it did definitely got a little sketchy. I was trying to make sure I was like, okay, I have to go on the green, make sure I have a great restart, which I did, and make sure I was able to clear Richard. And then once I did that, it was pretty much set sail from there. I don't think he was the best on the short run, and I know I was pretty quick on the short run, and I just had to hold it off for that time, and luckily everything kind of worked out that way.
So in turn, how's it feel as a whole to get your first win in the PRL in your racing career? One that's had a lot of history when you look back in your iRacing career with experience at the Pro Series level as well.
Yeah, it feels really good. I mean, this group of guys is really, really hard to race against. First race being with these guys was last week at Michigan. And it was tough, just trying to, I didn't have a great qualifying, just trying to come through the field. So, being able to kind of come back the second race and get the win, I mean, that feels amazing because, I was, yes, in the Pro Series, but I never felt like I was actually really that great of a driver and that competitive. But for some reason, I come here and it feels a little bit different. It feels like I can actually go out there and really race door to door with these guys and race them clean. And be able to really try to see if we can maybe go for the championship.
Thank you very much for the time, Brandon.
You're welcome.
That's Brandon Bowie coming away with a win tonight. Team 1-2 when you include the Bravo side of the camp. Ryan Dunkelberger's been a name that's been floating around for a fair bit in terms of speed. The 26 had speed tonight. He finishes second. He's with Derek.
Ryan, what a great run tonight. We saw you sort of battle through the field. Back there at one point, kind of battling for 5th and 6th, and you ended up second. What happened there to put you up in second at the end of the race?
Just some matter of circumstances led up to that. I don't know what Richard was trying to do. I think he was trying to catch Bowie's draft and at least lick some of his wounds out of 4 there. I got a massive run, probably 3 cars back, I felt like, and he went straight down to the bottom of the wall there on the inside of the track, and I didn't really understand it. I did want to pass on the inside, and I saw I had a run, and he gave me a lane, and as long as I got to his corner, I felt pretty confident I could get him. And I mean, turn 1, I just sent it. I'm surprised it gripped up as well as it did. I had a lot of rear brake in it. But yeah, I really didn't think I was going to get it. I honestly thought I was going to wall it because I kind of misinterpreted how far I was far down onto that straightaway there. So I just jammed the brakes, and it felt like it skewed out pretty good and gripped up pretty well, and I was able to turn down there. And I mean, I got really lucky with the caution placement there. Unfortunately, I don't like to have situations play out like that, but I guess it's just iRacing the way it does it. Richard was really fast, Bowie was really fast, and I don't know. I don't know if I had the speed to really stick with them, but yeah, hats off to those guys. They ran an incredible race.
Yeah, they did run an incredible race. So right about the middle of the race, we had this long green flag run after the first set of pit stops, and Justin and I were sort of speculating from up top about maybe who did or didn't have gas and who was going to have to try to conserve and all the what-if scenarios you can play out in your head. So I'm going to ask you, had we stayed green, did you have enough gas to go all the way to the end, or were you gonna have to pit?
After that first stop, I don't think I would have. It seems like I'm doing the math. I think I probably would have been about 2 minutes short on time. It was like 3 laps ish or something like that. I didn't feel like I was going to make it. But I mean, when you get track position like that, you can't give it up, and you got to run as hard as you can. So I probably was not going to make it. I didn't predict I was. I wasn't planning on it. If you ask me, that's what happened. If you ask Bowie, I think Bowie had a little bit more than I did. Not 100% sure, but I know I could not make it after that first stop.
All right, well, big success tonight. You finished right behind the boss. 1-2 finish for Bowie Esports. So great run tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Ryan Dunkelberger, the driver of the 26 car, Justin. Finished P2 tonight here at Indianapolis.
Third spot tonight, though, went the way of Richard Regan Jr., one of the series veterans. Gets the top 3. He looked to be the contender for the win early. In fact, he led the most laps. How would you describe your side of the battle with Brandon Bowie for the win?
Yeah, I mean, the battle was good. Raced me clean. I was really bad off of 2 all night. I don't know how he's especially on that last restart. He like looked like he flat-footed it almost out of 2. I don't know how he did that, but yeah, the short run, since they've changed this damage model, they've done a little bit with the setups, and just the short runs doesn't suit me that good. I can get qualifying pace out of it, but I don't know. I like to save the tire, and it was just hard to pass, and he had to do what he had to do there to get by me. He did it clean, and before he made the move, I was just hoping I could get decent enough runs off of 2 and 4 to kind of defend it a little bit. And I knew if I could stay ahead of him for the first couple laps, that, you know, once the dirty air kicked in with the heated up tires, that was going to be it. But as soon as I thought that, the next lap coming off of 2, I just messed up pretty bad. And then he got a major run from like 3 cars back, and couldn't really do anything more after that. But yeah, congrats to him.
In turn, though, early going into the season, looking again like one of the championship contenders for at least the season 1. It's been an interesting past 5 years almost now as one of the series' top drivers. What's that in the mindset like now that you've now gotten to where you've grown an entire grouping of 3 different sub-teams for this season, who, mind you, are 1-2 in the team standings, or at least your groupings were entering tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we showed some good qualifying speed. Reese made a mistake in qualifying, and that put him towards the back of the pack. But overall, most of my guys qualifying pretty good. The preseason race, I think we finished like 1 through 4, and then 6 and 7 or something crazy like that. And we just got to work with them and get them to put together races a little bit more. Tom made a mistake on that first pit stop and slid to his box, which cost him a lot of spots. But I'm hoping, you know, as the year goes on, you know, I can just help make everybody better on the team, and we can start being up front almost every week. And I think I'm going to keep the teams the way they are all year. So, yeah, we'll see what happens throughout the year.
So on that note, next race closes out the racetracks that were scanned in the 2000s portion of the schedule. Your thoughts on Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone loves Hotlanta. It's kind of a shame what they did to the new Atlanta, but it is what it is. I understand what the market they're going for. But yeah, I mean, Atlanta's going to be crazy. It's going to be, we'll see what the new dynamic track, if the top comes in. I know it was working a little bit in the Cup race on Sunday, and yeah, we'll just see how it plays out. This season, for me, I'm kind of just trying to have some more fun and get ready for the playoffs. You know, start working towards the playoffs in season 2 and 3, and then full go mode on season 4. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you very much for your time, Richard.
Thank you. I'd like to give a shout out to Mission 22, Neonism Paint. You need a paint, go to facebook.com/neonism. Tell them the PRL sent you. Multiple Sclerosis Society, Jay-Z Photography, everybody at Regenbogen Motorsports, everybody at PRL, and you guys at RaceSpot.
Once again, Richard Regan Jr. coming away with the top 3 win. Like to thank him, Brandon Bowie, Ryan Dunkelberger. Take the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on Race Spot. So in turn, let's take a glance towards the schedule coming up, because we go from the Yard of Bricks to Old Atlanta next on the schedule. Interesting enough, you have the new and Old Atlanta on this season schedule because of the start of the NASCAR calendar, but the former of those Atlantas is first up.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot, slick racetrack with lots of speed and multiple lines of racing. So I'm excited. 1 week from tonight, right at the conclusion of the truck race, we move over to what they call Hot Atlanta. We'll be in the middle of the ATL. Well, not technically, as the track's outside of Atlanta, but we'll be ready to go next Wednesday night.
And be sure to tune in. Once again, it's Willow Springs and Atlanta for the trucks and Grand National cars, respectively, here on Race Spot. Coverage starts about 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 p.m. the expected start time for the Grand National portion of the card. On that note, though, it's time to get ready to say goodbye and prepare for those races next week. An interesting run here tonight, once again from the Brickyard to close out the evening, but in turn, it's time to say bye-bye for this Wednesday evening. For my co-announcer Derek Watson, for our producer tonight, and Dane Baird, and for our spotter for the Grand National Series, Nick Hunter, I'm Justin Prince. Thanking you for tuning in for tonight's action from the Brickyard and from Rockingham. We hope to see you next time when we zip around Willow Springs and zoom around Hotlanta here on Race Spot. Good night.